Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us tonight. We are on episode 22 of the Dirt Life Show. I'm so pumped. My name is Georgie Hamill, and in studio today we got one of my good friends, engineer, and also a champion this year in the Lucas Offroad Series, Paul Yaw. How's it going, dude? It's good to see you.
Glad to be here.
It's cool, man. We'll get into your story a little bit, but before we talk about all that stuff, I'm so stoked that you came, man. You've done so much for me in like my little racing endeavors that we've had. But I feel like we've had a good working relationship too.
And you just bought me coffee, so I'm happy.
No cash when the store can't accept credit cards.
That's right. Deadbeat. Need some free coffee.
That's cool, though, man. I really appreciate you coming all the way down from Phoenix. It was nice to have you in the studio instead of on FaceTime. It's really cool.
Yeah, you're right. It was worth it. I need to drive and do it live.
Yeah,
it's better.
It's much better. Okay, so let me get through the sponsor stuff. We want to welcome everybody. First of all, we want to thank everybody for joining us. We want to make sure that you follow us as much as you can. Follow us on social media. You can go to thedirtlifeshow.com. You can visit us on Instagram, Facebook, at The Dirt Life Show. And we just started a Twitter. I think it's pretty much useless, but that's at The Dirt Life Show as well. And we're on all the archive networks as well. So we do the live show on video. It's on Facebook and YouTube every Monday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And it's always on iTunes. It's always on Stitcher, Google Play, all those good networks the next day. So you guys that are driving around or driving to the races or whatever, race season is starting, so you have some good stuff to listen to on iTunes. So yeah, that's good. And we want to have as much interaction as possible. I say it every episode. I want to keep getting it more interactive. Jump online, jump on Facebook, jump on YouTube, slide into our DMs. Make sure that you're communicating with us. It's been getting really, really cool. I've been seeing so many messages online lately, and I love it. I think it's awesome for the show. I think it's awesome that we can take your guys' feedback and make the show better for you guys as well. So thank you very much. If you guys want to email us too, you can, dirtlifeshow@gmail.com. And we want to thank our sponsors. This show wouldn't be happening without them. We got some Zollinger Racing products right here, some pretty badass radius rods for our Polaris XP Turbo. These things are badass. So we're going to give these away. These are all 70-75 Pro Series, billet aluminum machined. Nice Heim joints, the whole deal. We're going to be giving them away on the February 3rd show, and that's with Ryan Edwards from KMC Wheels. It's going to be pretty cool to have him on. But follow us on social media, definitely on Instagram, because we're going to have the giveaway. We're going to post the giveaway stuff next week, I think. Yeah, so follow us there, and you can be registered to win. So some lucky winner is going to get these bad boys. So pay attention to social media. Thank you very much, Shock Therapy. Those guys are so awesome, man. We'd love to have them on. I know you do shocks and stuff as well, and you've helped me a lot with my stuff.
Yeah, Shock Therapy's grown pretty fast, haven't they? Like, they just kind of exploded.
They are. Justin does a really good job with stuff, man. He does tons of racers. He does a bunch of stuff, and he's just a fantastic guy. I think that's the main reason. You know, you're a fantastic guy, too, and you're getting your name out there in the off-road industry, but that's kind of what he did, too.
I think I might know that guy from years ago. I need to probably get together and chat with him. I think it's been a long time, but I think we were at one point renting a building from the same person.
Oh, no shit?
But, yeah, somebody pointed it out, and like I said, I think I know him from a lot of years ago. And I noticed that Shock Therapy's exploded quickly. And I don't know anything about them or what they're doing, but typically when a company grows that quickly, they're making a lot of people happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's just a good dude. Like, that's the main reason. And he came from auto stuff, too. So he's just a really good dude. It would be kind of cool if you guys could talk with each other. So thank you very much, Shock Therapy, Justin, and all the guys over there. We're going to be doing some stuff with Cody, and he's going to be doing a review of the YXZ stuff that we did. But jump on their website and use the code DIRTLIFE, and it'll give you a big old fat discount. And if you want suspension modifications, anything like that, call them up, say the code DIRTLIFE, and they'll give you a fat discount. Like I said, the guys at Zollinger Racing Products, they make awesome products. I mean, these are fucking heavy, man. It's hard for me to lift these things. But go to their website. They have billet steering knuckles, all kinds of cool stuff for Can-Ams, Polaris, everybody. They also make snowmobile stuff, too. But use the code DIRTLIFE when you go there, and you get a big old fat discount as well. The guys at Rigid Industries, we love those guys, make the baddest light products. And the guys at Solder Weld, we're going to have them in studio. I think it's February 10th. Lance is going to come down from Utah and hang out with us. May or may not go eat tacos. That's going to be pretty fun.
I thought I had a drive from Phoenix. Utah is going to be a big one.
I think he might drive a plane and be a passenger.
Okay. That kind of drive.
Yeah, exactly. So, so thank you to all our sponsors. We love those guys. Those shows couldn't be done without those guys. And I wanted to send a special shout out to my buddy Hunter Osborne, who got this custom cup for me. It's got, I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but it's got my name and number on it. It's got a unicorn on it. And of course, it's got a taco.
It's got a taco.
Yeah.
That's what
matters. And clearly pink and blue. So thank you very much, Hunter, for that special gift. I got it this week, and man, when I showed up and unwrapped that thing, I was yelling and screaming in the garage when I got it. So yeah, thank you everybody. We really appreciate it. I'm glad you guys could come in and join us for this show. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. Paul always has good stuff to say. Before we get into your backstory a little bit, the way that I met you was through our mutual friend Jeff Furrier, who, if you guys looked at our social media today, I went and stopped by his shop, and he let us borrow this fantastic table.
That's nice. That's nice of Jeff. It's one of the nicer things he's done for me.
Well, he's not that nice, because I got to bring it back tomorrow early in the morning because they're going to Parker, so I can't sleep on it or anything. Yeah. But Jeff's an awesome dude, and Tim, thank you very much, Tim. I went riding side by sides with Tim yesterday, so that was pretty cool. He got himself a tuna boat Can-Am. So have you seen how long those things are, those Can-Am 4-seaters? Yeah,
but I got to interrupt you for a minute to talk about Jeff, because he was a huge help to us over the last 2 seasons. Well, our only 2 seasons out there, and particularly the first season, because there were a lot of surprises. Oh shit, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I needed parts from Fox, and Jeff had a way of making it happen, and things would just show up.
Really?
So, yeah, it was actually a huge help.
So not just safety stuff, like actual valving kits and different suspension stuff?
Fox stuff.
Wow.
Lots and lots of shock internals. I mean, the whole game out there is about the dampers.
Right.
So by the way, they are dampers, and when I say dampers, people say,
Instead
what the
of
fuck
shocks,
are you talking about? So I'll just say shocks, but if I occasionally say damper.
You mean shocks, yep.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, Jeff was a huge help, and I want to mention it because he was a big help. So it's UPR Racing, right, the safety stuff?
Yep.
And Desert Rat Off-Road Centers.
Yep.
Is that just in Phoenix, the Desert Rat?
No,
it's in Tucson also.
They have them here too, yeah.
Do they do any mail order?
Well,
UPR does.
Yeah, UPR does, and UPR stocks most everything of theirs.
In any case, he was a phenomenal guy to deal with, so I just want to put that out there.
He is. He's a really phenomenal, and I'm glad that you said that he helped you, but honestly, man, I don't know a dude that couldn't say the same thing. Like, he's helped me, he's helped everybody.
He helped me by being competent and doing a good job, which...
and he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it's a standout in any industry. It's hard to find.
And he's got good help down there with Tim, so
does he?
He's definitely got good help down there.
I know he's not a sponsor. Well, he is a sponsor now. I just made him a sponsor. Yeah.
He's always helped me out. So whether we call him a sponsor or not, he's there to shirt off your back kind of guy. So yeah. I love Jeff for sure. In fact, one of the first times that him and I hung out, we ate tacos too. Who doesn't like tacos in Southern Arizona, right?
I don't know.
But yeah, so Jeff is a good dude, man. There's a lot of stuff that was in my race program that he helped out with too. There was this might be getting off on too much of a tangent and kind of boring, but he told me everything that I didn't know about racing. So I come from a dirt bike, and I'm like, oh, there's this fucking car racing. It's gonna be so easy, right? Like, no problem. All you got to do is turn the steering wheel.
Can't fall off.
I was so wrong. Like, that was the worst thing that I could have ever thought in my head. And you can't fall off, so that's cool. But the cockpit, everything that I thought I was doing right, I wasn't. And so I went down there and I go, Jeff, like, I need some help. Like, I don't know what I'm doing really. Like, I'm able to use, like, my skill set and my brain was working good enough to be able to perform well. But he's like, no, dude, like, all your shit is off. Like, you got to balance the car. Yeah. You got to sit center in the, like, compared to the steering wheel. You got to be like a certain way away from it. Like, because when I first got my first RZR, I was reaching out to here to grab the steering wheel, and I didn't know.
Because that's what you're used to. That's what the handlebars
are,
right? They should have just put some fucking handlebars on it for you. It would have been fast as hell.
Exactly. And a twist throttle?
Yeah. Well, it was a similar situation for us coming from asphalt to dirt.
Right.
You know, same kind of thing. So
I definitely want to get into that, because that's always been interesting to me to understand how you guys did that.
That's kind of what the whole 2 seasons were about, is me tripping over my dick trying to figure out.
But you figured it out so quick, though.
Well, it seems quick because you didn't have a camera following me around until 2 and 3 in the morning. at nights before races and in between races.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quick, man. It was. I packed about 10 seasons into 2 seasons.
Yeah, by just busting your ass and working hard.
Yeah, and in fact, I made a really cocky statement to one of the guys when we were there in the first season, who was giving me some shit, kind of poking at the new guy, like they do when you show up someplace.
Yep.
And I said, look, you motherfuckers have never raced against somebody that works as hard as I do.
Yeah.
So just remember that.
Yep.
I didn't tell him I was better. I didn't tell him any of that. I just said I'm going to outwork you.
Yeah,
So,
I'll earn it.
yeah, and a little bit of luck, of course. There's always some luck that goes with that. But, yeah, so
And we'll talk about it a little bit
off.
more, too.
Yeah.
You made the program so successful, but you also had a good driver and a good a good person in.
It wouldn't have happened with me driving, that's for sure.
Oh, you know what? I just realized that your team manager, you're the head of your team, Ken Stout. He's the one that
did the intro.
He's the one that did the intro and the outros for the show. Yeah, so Ken's a good buddy. So it's kind of funny how things go full circle. So Jeff Furrier, the guy that we're thanking for all of this stuff, introduced us to.
Yep.
And Ken, I was introduced to Ken pretty much through you. I mean, I knew him a little bit, but so that's cool, man.
And Furrier goes all the way back to my friend Jim Levi that I just realized I don't remember where I met Jim, but Jim introduced me to Jeff.
Oh, he was messaging me on Facebook.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a quick story about Jim. I don't know if I need to be quick or not. I'm not sure how much guidance you'd like to give on what I rattle on about, but
you can cuss, you can take as long as you want. Fucking A, man. We're just having a good time.
So when I started Injector Dynamics, it was the result of actually another workathon. I spent 5 months trying to figure out a bunch of shit about fuel injectors because I knew that everybody was missing the boat. I didn't know what the answer was, but I knew that the answer wasn't there. And so during that 5-month period, I pretty much ran out of money because I was just obsessively working on this.
Well, you figured out what you needed to figure out.
I figured out what I needed to figure out, and I went to Jim and said, hey, man, I'm out of money. I got this done. I think I can make a run at it, but I need like a month's operating expenses to be able to push this out onto the market.
He's there?
He's there? Oh,
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Awesome. And, you know, I don't remember the details. You know how stories always get a little better and a little more interesting over time. But the short stories, I said, look, I need money. I need to be able to promote this. I think it's good. And I think I told him something like, I'm going to put my engine dyno up as collateral, which he didn't give a fuck about. He's just a nice guy. He was helping out a younger guy, you know. Short stories, he gave me some money. And
did he see the work ethic? Is that what he saw?
Oh, who knows? I mean, you know,
maybe you can chime in, Jim. Tell us why you did it. Why'd you support this fucker right here?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what it was. I worked on his race car.
Oh, cool.
And there were some things about the car that were fucked up, and I thought they were kind of obvious, fundamental things. And I fixed those things, and his car went a lot faster than anybody thought it should have because it was kind of a well, let me put it this way. Jim's a responsible guy financially. You know, people go racing and they spend every fucking penny they have. Well, Jim's not that guy.
Right.
So he didn't have the car he could afford. He had the car that he should afford, right?
Got it.
In other words, he didn't have the best car out there. But there were some fundamental problems, just fucked up things, and I fixed them, and he went fast.
Cool.
And I don't know, well, maybe you haven't been on this side of it, but once you make a driver fast, man, you're their friend for life.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
That was what it was all about. And he was an older guy. I know you know this. You've been around some kids, younger people, and you think to yourself, or whether or not you think it consciously, you know that somebody helped you when you were younger.
Right.
And you have a natural desire to help younger people.
Yep.
So Jim's, I'm 50 now. He's like 107. No, he's, well, he's got 15 years on me or more. No, he's got 25 years on me. Yeah, he is old. Anyway, so I don't know if that was more story than you wanted or not.
No,
but
that's awesome.
The guy
man.
who helped me start Injector Dynamics introduced me to Jeff, who introduced me to you, and that's how things work.
It's crazy how things trickle down like that. We were actually talking about it the other day with, I don't remember who it was, but we know so many people and like the collective, and it started me thinking, and you should do this exercise too because it'll fuck with your brain. Like I started thinking like how many people I do know in, let's just say, the motocross and off-road world. And I started thinking about this because I'm going to be in California for the next couple of weeks. And I was like, who should I go meet with out there and say hi to? And then I was like, dude, I don't have enough time. And it's not because it's just because I've ran across so many people, and it's just like the good people start trickling down more good people, and it just really, really resonates.
It feeds, and you'll hear when you're younger, maybe you'll read some stupid cliched book about networking, how important networking is.
How to win friends and influence people.
Well, yeah, that type of thing. And one of the things you realize as you get older is that a lot of things that happen in business happen as a result of who you know. So people say that, in a kind of a demeaning way. It's about who you know, and they shouldn't, because the upside of that is when you surround yourself with decent people and
who you know and who they know.
Yeah, and make an effort to earn those relationships. They just build on things. I mean, it happens in racing. It happens everywhere.
Yep.
So, of course, well, we're 10 minutes into this. I'm getting philosophical already. Sorry. I'll talk some tech shit for
That's
you.
okay. Well, let's say hi to, David Newmark. You know him?
Yeah.
He said, "What's up, Paul?"
So
and
by the way, I was the first and most vocal hater of Facebook, and since then, I've made a number of real friends on Facebook. Of course, there's 3,500 friends, right? I don't know who half of those motherfuckers
Me neither,
are.
yeah.
But I've made a lot of real friends. I have a feeling that...
is Neil Switzer one of them?
Yeah, I have a feeling that...
you got Neil Switzer, you got John Glaive, and thanks.
I have to meet them. Basically.
Thanks, Matt Gerald, for joining in. Dimitri Voronov.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see how many people chime in, and feel free to throw them questions too. So anybody that's watching, feel free to comment and throw them questions. And
so you've got to be careful asking my friends to do that.
I actually wanted to get a little bit more like that.
It's going to be full of mom jokes and my God, you look fat. Is it the fucking camera? I mean, this is a whole new group of people.
So if anybody says that you look big, should I just start fighting them for you?
Actually, I didn't tell you.
If there's any mom jokes, I'm going to push those aside because I really respect moms.
You don't like those?
I like mothers.
Yeah. I figured we're going to box in the middle of this too because I think it'd be good for.
That's why I brought this so we could break the whole table.
Yeah.
Well, these things aren't going to be good weapons though. These radius rods.
Well, I'll tell you one more thing about my crowd. They want technical stuff.
Well,
now maybe you don't, but they do.
I love technical stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I love it. And the time that I've spent with you at the shop learning stuff, I think has been fantastic. Like Jeff Furrier said, I suggest that you go talk to Paul because Paul's new at this off-road stuff, and he said
doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Help him out.
Well, kind of. I mean, he didn't say that. I mean, he said clearly you can figure things out, and he said George, you and Paul have a very close mindset. You will do whatever it takes to figure things out, and you're knowledgeable about certain things. But even if you don't know it, you'll learn it.
Right.
And he goes, the cool part about Paul is he will tell you that the first time that he meets you is that he doesn't know anything. If he has something that he can learn from you, doesn't know anything about that certain subject if it is.
That sounds like a compliment, but what am I going to say about dirt racing, right?
I
got this covered, right? When obviously I didn't have it covered, so.
Yeah. But you learned pretty quickly. So, so let's get into that stuff then.
Hey, you and show. What do you want to talk about?
You and I met through Furrier, and I actually ended up going to a Lucas regional race, and I saw you cruising around in the Kawasaki, I think it was.
That was in my Honda, I think.
Yeah, Pioneer or something. I don't know. Just cruising around, and I went in and introduced myself.
Is that a little product placement thing there? Honda giving you a few bucks?
That'd be nice. But yeah, so I went up and talked to you, and the first things that you said, because you looked at me like, who the fuck is this kid coming up to me and talking to me?
Yeah, because I didn't know who you were.
Yeah, and I made sure, and Jeff told me too. He said, make sure you introduce yourself and tell him who you are because you're a direct guy. And I said, okay, cool. That's what I'll do. And then, I kind of knew Ken a little bit. And so, long story short, it ended up that we've had a good, long working relationship and then, call each other for questions. And now clearly you're much smarter than I am with the whole racing side of things. But in the beginning, I would like to think that I was a little bit of a help to you and the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I needed input from people with experience. So I can say, and I probably did say 2 years ago, that I know a lot about vehicle dynamics.
Right.
And that's true. But the thing that happens when you only have a theoretical understanding, you have no experience, is that you don't know how to prioritize. You don't know what's important.
That's a very good point.
And so talking to you and talking to Furrier and talking to Kyle Duke, that was huge. Really, really helpful.
Because of all of the things that they do know?
Yes.
Whether they know everything or not?
Right. So, in fact, this goes back to something I learned circle track racing years ago. I went circle track racing with a buddy. The 3/8 oval right here, not far from you, right? Asphalt oval. It was completely new to me. And we'd get out there and we'd talk to some of the old timers and they'd say, oh, the car's doing this, you need to do that. And of course I would say, why?
Right.
Why do I need to put cross in it? Why do I need to do this to this shock? Why do I need to put slack in the anti-roll bar? Whatever the fuck it is, why do I have to do it? I have to know why.
Yep.
And they would give me some ridiculous explanation, some fucking hillbilly voodoo, and I would just look at them and think, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I would write them off.
Right.
Well, then a few races later, I'd realize, wow, they were right. When you do that, that is what happens. And I would eventually figure out why. So this happened to me a lot, and it embarrassed me a lot. And what I realized is that these guys from experience, what they know is half of the equation. What they know from experience. The other half is what I'll call the engineering. But engineering on its own doesn't allow you to properly prioritize, and experience on its own doesn't give you the whole story.
Got it. And so these are the things that
you put two pieces together, and that's what I got from you is the experience stuff.
Yeah. So, and I actually heard this from I think it was Tim or no somebody today. I don't remember who it was, but the feeling it in your butt, like feeling it in your butt or the seat or the handlebars or whatever, and then the analytical brain from somebody like you goes back and reverse engineers that. And
try to figure out why.
Yeah, why did that happen? And like you and I have had hundreds of discussions like this, and I'll tell you, the suspension's too stiff, or the dampers are too stiff, and you'll go, I don't know if that's true, George. I go, I can feel it, and you go, well, whether you can feel it or not, that doesn't mean that it means that it's too stiff.
Doesn't mean that your description is correct.
Right.
You know what you're feeling. Yeah.
It could be that it's too soft, and then it's going full all the way through, or it's the tires that have too much air pressure or something.
Yeah.
So that was a huge lesson for me, because I was like, oh, no, the dampers are fucked up. I'm like, something's wrong with them, redo it. But that could have been totally wrong.
Well, a good example of that, the car is too stiff, is a lowered street car. I see this all the time. From the factory, a typical automobile may have, say, 4.5 inches of compression travel before it runs into the bump stops, right? So people will put some aftermarket springs on the car. They'll lower the car, a couple of inches. Now, instead of 4.5 inches of compression travel, you have 2.5.
Right. And when you say compression travel, you're not talking about dropout travel.
I mean, from ride height, the amount of travel before you run into the bump stop and run out of travel. Ooh, there's a nice echo in here.
That's why you're talking about the padding?
Yeah. So people drive them, and then they're constantly running out of travel and banging into the bump stops, and they say, man, this thing is way too fucking stiff. I need to put some softer springs in it. The problem is the opposite. There's not enough spring or damper to control the travel. You're feeding the same amount of energy into the suspension by going over a bump at the same speed, but you have less travel over which to catch that and absorb that energy. And so what they're feeling is the car banging into the bump stops, and they think they're feeling the springs are too stiff or the dampers are too stiff. So that's kind of an extension of what you just said.
They couldn't feel that 2 inches that they were blowing through.
Yeah, because you don't. And that's the problem with not knowing why. They know what they're feeling. The car is stiff because it's running out of travel constantly, but it's not that the springs are too stiff.
That's crazy, man.
So, and that's a common thing. And so this goes back to this thing that I've been assaulting people with lately as a way to understand why it's important to know why. And it's the Thanksgiving turkey joke. There's the turkey who's just fucking thrilled every day when he sees the farmers coming to feed him, right? And that turkey knows from experience when that farmer shows up, he's going to get some food. Oh, my God, this is fucking wonderful. And then one day he goes zipping up there to the farmer, and he slits his fucking throat.
Yep.
The problem is it's the day before Thanksgiving, and he knew from experience that guy was going to feed him. The problem is he doesn't know why.
Yep.
Had he known why, he wouldn't have got his fucking throat slit.
Yep. He would have steered clear.
And I say that harshly because I'm always trying to make a point, and I'm normally angry at somebody when I say it. But it makes a point.
Should we? Well, we got somebody else angry at us, Mike Solger. He said he wasn't invited for the pre-show tacos.
Yeah.
Should we tell him that we ate some delicious tacos?
We should tell him that he needs tacos about as bad as I do.
We didn't eat any tacos, Mike, so you're clear.
Yeah.
We might eat tacos tomorrow, but Paul's going to do it with his wife. So
there you go.
So they say we should start a desert team. Well, there you go. You actually are starting to do some stuff with Robert Van Beekum. So.
Not yet. Eventually I will. I think it's going to be harder to figure out than short course.
Yeah.
Because short course was kind of an extension of what I've done in the past with.
But it's a controlled environment.
Yeah. And so I think desert's going to be a lot harder. And the other problem is that one of the things that Robert and I struggled with throughout the season, mostly 2018, was I would say, what's the car doing? He'd say, well, when I go in here, the car's doing this. But I don't know if it's me or if it's the car. I don't know if I should change my line. I don't know if I should change my braking application. And we would basically look at each other and both say, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go out again, change your line, see if that fixes it.
I'm noticing a common thing here, and this is something that I grew up with. I asked a ton of questions since I was a little kid, and I'm sure Ian does too, your son. But that's what you do in your head too. You ask a ton of questions. Well, thanks, Ryan Shoemaker, for sending in that question. So was there any issues being able to get the factory Yamaha ECU to provide data and function to your liking?
So I'm not going to mention any names, but let me say that what has been available has been fucking horrifying in terms of how could something be this bad. And I'm not going to take that any further on your show, but if it was mine, I'd rant for a half an hour. However, there's something coming up that's going to be a big deal. I just realized I might not be able to let the cat out of the bag. Let me just say that there will be a very good tuning solution. I've been playing with it already.
You had told me a bunch of this stuff, and it sounds fucking awesome.
It should be here by the end of the month.
Sweet.
Like within a couple weeks, there will be a proper tuning solution for that car.
So look for Paul Yaw on Facebook, people, and then make sure you pay attention to stuff that he's
actually, I'm going to make
about.
a lot of noise about it because
awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe we can
horrible.
make some noise on the Dirt Life show too. We want to hear Paul's story about a rotary engine.
Oh, nobody cares. Sorry, Scott.
I don't even like rotary engines that much anyway. So
do you?
Yeah.
You don't?
I'm just about a standard combustion engine.
They're unique.
And won't be able to proper carb for my 12A.
So what he's talking about is it used to be anytime you went to a road course, you couldn't go there without tripping over 40 RX-7s because they were good, durable, cheap race cars.
I remember that. Yeah. Well, now it's Miatas. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's Miatas, but there were race classes that required that you run the stock carburetor, but they allowed various modifications. So I went through those stock overly complex carbs, simplified them, got them to make good power, and just sold a shitload of them. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I do remember it exceeded 600 of those things.
Really?
We did in I don't know how many years. I mean, we were cranking those things out.
Maybe you could clean up the carburetor on this little mini bike right here.
Yeah. So that's probably how I got into injection, really, I've built a lot of carburetors, those and Webers and Hollies.
Alfonso Jimenez said hillbilly voodoo is my new favorite term.
Yeah, I just made that up, so
love the
you
turkey.
Can have it.
Left turns only, says Robbie Hornsby.
Hornsby, now have you watched him?
I raced against him, too. I was going to bring this up, too. I promised Furrier that I would say this.
Yeah?
The only picture of me and your driver on the track together, I was in front of you guys. So that's my claim to fame.
Fuck. So now we are going to box, right? That was the night that started it all, actually. I was there. It was in Chandler.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yep, it was the first race.
Did you just come to hang out?
Wait, is that the first race? First race of the season, right? In 2016.
Honestly, I don't remember when it was. I just wanted to fuck with you because I saw the picture. That was it. So
I remember that. Yeah.
Wow. So you just came to hang out and just kind of check out what the off-road scene was like at that time?
Yeah, you want me to launch the story now?
No, let's answer a couple more of these real quick.
Sorry, you said interaction. I'm ignoring them. There's Van Beekum, that crazy fucker.
Oh, he's the end. Yeah. So, Dimitri said, can you discuss anything cool with what you learned while doing this about the pitch roll control while retaining so much compliance?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, we learned a little bit about this in RC car racing. I wish I had my co-host Casey Peck in here, too, because he knows all about that stuff. Like, he is super smart when it comes to that stuff. Not that it's the same with big cars and little cars, but there's a lot of similarities.
I think it's going to be really hard for me to give Dimitri a proper answer. So he and I will probably finish offline as we often do. But the short story is this. The ultimate roll or pitch angle, meaning where the car finally ends up, either under braking or under acceleration or in the middle of a corner like a big sweeper, is determined by the springs and the anti-roll bars, right?
Well, and depending on the length of like if you use wheel spacers and stuff too.
That's all part of it, but I'm getting to the portions that everybody's familiar with working with. Okay, so that determines your ultimate pitch and roll angle. Now, your compliance, to some degree, comes from the springs and anti-roll bars, but the majority of your compliance actually comes from the dampers.
Yeah.
So you can put enough spring and anti-roll bar in the car to get it the corner flat, to keep it from pitching and squatting too much, but the compliance all comes down to the dampers. So that whole 2 seasons was about dampers.
Yeah, and we learned a lot about that as well, as far as the way that we adjusted our sway bars to go with the dampers and stuff like that. My personal preferences were to have the dampers a little bit set up a little stiffer and the sway bars a little softer. So I personally like that more because I could feel it more like a dirt bike.
Got it.
So that was my preference. Spring rate and valving, yeah. So no smart ass. I'm the motherfucker on the show.
Van Beekum.
Cool guys. Well,
he's my crazy new friend.
So it has been pretty cool to see you transition from I keep saying street racing, but we'll call it
road course
road
racing.
course
Closed
racing.
course asphalt racing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
so-
time you say street racing, I think about idiots running around on the way to the Circle K. But road racing.
And so road racing and
meaning closed course.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a perfect place to talk about it.
Short course on asphalt with no jumps.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And so to see you transition from that into short course off-road has been pretty cool. Like, most of the stuff that I think is pretty cool is because I've learned a shitload from you. And whether it's useful information that we're talking about that applies directly to the dirt or pavement, it didn't matter what you were talking about. You were talking about it with knowledge and really a lot of complexity for me because I didn't know any of that stuff. And it turned out to be super cool. So how did you get into racing in general? Like, you grew up as a kid liking it, or?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I just turned 50 a while ago, right? So everybody in the general age group, my age group, remembers at one point having a picture of a Lamborghini hanging on the wall of their room.
The Countach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that word, but I would have fucked it up. But you got it right. So, yeah, everybody had. I mean,
was it white or was it red?
It was white, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're all fascinated with cars. I mean, how I got into it, I don't know. I mean, the story's the same for everybody. You like it, and so you buy a car and you start fucking with it, right? And then eventually, 30 years later, you're here. I mean, the story's kind of similar for everybody. You like it, so you work at it, and then you either develop some proficiency.
Did you grow up in an area, like, did you grow up in Arizona then?
No, I grew up in Michigan.
Okay, so in Michigan, did you grow up with more of a dirt culture or like a pavement culture?
There wasn't any racing around me when I was a kid. We lived out in a small town.
Oh, so you didn't even know about it or anything?
I mean, what we could get on a magazine.
Yeah, like a car.
Remember, this was pre-internet. It's weird that I've gotten to the age now where I actually have to explain to people that there was a world before the internet, where literally the only time you would see anything is if it was on TV on the 3 channels you could receive, or
when you were going to the grocery store.
You go to the grocery
mom.
store and you flip through the magazines. You try to convince your mom to buy you a car magazine, and that was it. That was all you got.
And it's already 6 months out of date.
Yeah, that was it. So
that is kind of crazy to think about that.
So
what made you like to get into the racing portion? You just thought cars were cool?
Yeah. I mean, everybody thinks they're cool, and then some people go out and actually mess with them.
Now, what'd you do as a little kid? You just bicycle riding and fucked around like that?
Yeah, I did some silly shit like take the tires off of my old bicycle, which were hard plastic. They weren't an inflatable tire. And shoot sheet metal screws in them so I could ride it on the ice. Dumb shit like that. So,
that's pretty cool.
But everybody's got stories like that of things they did when they were a kid that led up to that. And then some of us find a way to turn it into a business or a way to make a living. And
it sounds like you were fascinated with the growth of whatever you had, though, like learning about it and like.
I always wanted to find a way to make it do something it wouldn't currently do.
Did you have like in my case, I loved playing with Legos?
No, wasn't that interested. No,
that's too simple for you, probably.
No, I don't know. Actually, part of it is that I'm not a very visual-oriented person. The concept of building shapes and things like that doesn't really click in my head.
Oh, okay. So Rubik's Cube, you don't give a shit?
Nah, I'm more of a forces and moments kind of a person rather than trigonometry and shapes.
I can definitely vouch for that because some of the stuff that you've showed me and like some of those shock dyno charts and even engine dyno charts and stuff like that, you go, hey, check this out, like expecting me to like understand what you're looking at, and I go, dude, that's like fucking Chinese for me. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, then I need to slow down and explain it because it is simple. Everything, if you understand it well, is just a collection of simple concepts.
Right.
And so sometimes I rush through things, and what I need to do is slow down because I honestly believe I can explain just about anything that I do understand to just about anybody if I slow down. And
you do actually a really good job because you did explain to me some of those things that I didn't understand, and I did learn them, so that was pretty cool.
Good.
Well, yeah, so I think I mentioned it a little bit. I wanted to thank you for all of the help that you helped with the unicorn project that we have with that YXZ. You did a fantastic job getting us on track, and I had an accident at the UTV World Championship this past year, but
you could call it that.
Man, it was unbelievable to me to understand, and I'm not giving you total kudos here because we did go with a wrong setup, but the amount of effort that you put in to help me fix that setup before the race was phenomenal. Like, nobody's ever done that kind of extra work. You sat there on FaceTime with me at what, 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
And we got up and we revalved those shocks with my hands and your brain in the back of a trailer, and we got them so much better before I went out on the course. It was phenomenal to see that. And we had worked with some other people that were out at the track the previous day, and they couldn't get it right, and they just fucking bailed on me.
So when you said earlier, you made the statement that we learned really fast. And I'm pretty sure this is true of Robert, too, the driver.
Right.
Robert
Stout is the driver.
Yeah, we didn't really learn fast. We just packed it into a short time period. What I mean by that is, so I worked on it really late, and then I got up at 4 in the morning to talk to you on the phone to do that. That's how I worked on the cars over those couple of seasons. So if a person spends, I don't know, 100 hours trying to figure out the race car in a typical season, I spent 500.
Yeah.
So I packed 5 seasons into one, maybe not 5, but that was it. Just making the fucking effort to figure shit out.
That's the same thing I did with school. Like I broke
That's the opposite of what I did in school.
Well, I kind of did it for the same reason, at least the same kind of. You enjoy what you're doing now, but I did it because I hate school, but I like learning.
Yeah.
So I just went and got it done as quickly as I could, so that I had the basics to go out and actually get a job in the computer industry to actually learn more and more and more.
Yeah.
But until the day I went to school, I had no idea where the power button was for a computer.
Right.
And I became a computer scientist, a computer science major, and graduated in just under 2 years.
Oh, cool.
So I hated it that much.
Oh, you did, just to get out of it quickly. I understand.
And then so when I got into it and I got my first job, that's when I liked it. Because that's when I formatted it to be very similar to what you're doing now. Formatted it into a occupation that I liked because I was a computer science person in the action sports world.
Right. Yeah.
So it made it a lot better for me. And then so you grew up in Michigan. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to bail out of Michigan?
I didn't decide. In fact, I fought it tooth and nail. I was 16.
You still like Michigan?
Yeah, actually, I love it. I was 16. We moved here. Because my stepmother at the time had some health problems they thought would be much better catered to in Arizona and the Arizona weather. So I fought like hell because, of course, I didn't want to move. I was a kid. And then I got here and got to find out what it's like to be the new kid in school, which is pretty fucking thrilling. So, yeah, then I was happy.
How old were you?
16.
17?
Yeah. That's a good time to be the new kid. We'll leave it at that. On to the next. So, yeah.
For real. Yeah. And then, so you moved down here, and then were you still into the same stuff? Like,
at that point, I was into music more than anything.
Well, you just mentioned to me how hardcore you're into music. That's pretty cool.
Thankfully, I left that behind.
Well, you're still into music now, though.
I'm into it. I'm just not spending time thinking that I want to pursue that as a way to make a living.
I don't think anybody can make a living with music nowadays. Yeah.
Well, not anyone who's a real artist, no.
Yeah, exactly. That does suck. And we were talking about this the other day, too, how the music scene, we won't talk about musicians in general because there's still some fantastic musicians, but the music scene in general is so hard to make any money these days.
This is a horrible topic to discuss with me. I'll be throwing things in a minute.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We'll move on. So you came down here. Mm-hmm. You were well. What'd you do? Did you go to college then?
Yeah, for a little while. The problem I had with college, though, is that it's a lot of work, right? And there's a lot of parties at college, and there's a lot of drinking.
There's
a lot of stuff to do. And so the more time I spent in school, the less time I had to drink and smoke dope. So something had to give. So I just had to quit school. And,
Hornsby said you love Kid Rock.
Oh, fuck Robbie Hornsby. Yeah.
Well, so the reason I asked about the college
just so
was,
you know, I no longer, I no longer drink. So now I have nothing. I have no fucking degree, and I don't drink anymore. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
The reason I brought up the college stuff was because I remember vaguely in a conversation that you said you were roommates with Mike Solger, one of my good buddies.
Yep.
So that's cool. And obviously he chimed in earlier, but Mike does all kinds of cool fabrication stuff, and he did some
nice work for me.
Yeah, and he just actually built himself a new race can MX-3. So
can I tell you a funny story about Mike?
Please do.
Sorry, not a funny story. It's me going.
Is it okay if he tells a story, Mike?
No, that's good. Going off on a philosophical rant again. I was around. Mike and I worked together. We were roommates for a while. I don't know how long this was. 2-3 year period. Spent a lot of time together. So I don't know, 25 years later, you tell me that he's building this stuff. So I take my car over there, and I just say, this is what I want, and I drop it off, and I don't ask him how much it's going to cost, and I basically just leave it in his lap, and I drive away with nothing to worry about. Yep. And here's why. In however many years I've been alive, I realized that at their core, people don't change over time.
Yep.
So I knew there was no fucking way Mike was going to half-ass that. It just was not possible. So I wasn't at all worried. I hadn't seen him in all that time, like, here, take it, do some really cool shit. And I got back, and he did some really cool shit. And I knew he would. And it was done on time, and the price was reasonable. And people don't, at their core, they don't seem to change. I mean, a lot of aspects do, but I just knew it was going to be fine, and it was.
There's like really only a few fabricators that you can say that about, man. There's a lot of fabricators out there that just they don't take any pride in what they're actually putting out.
He takes a lot of pride in what he does, but he's very good about he's very practical.
Yeah.
He doesn't go down a rabbit
Well, he
hole.
manages expectations really well.
He manages time well. Yeah.
So that's cool. And so you went to college a little bit, but then how did you get into the whole Injector Dynamics thing? Where was the what's the predecessor to all this? Like, what were your years leading up to that?
I'm going to try to give you the brief pass through. I was doing plastic molding for quite some time, making all kinds of point of purchase displays and things like that.
I don't know if you remember, but you and I had talked a little bit about the leg braces.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I still have one on my desk actually, but. The short story is that while I was doing that, I had shop space to work in. I was messing with cars, and I started messing with race cars kind of on the side. While this was going on, I started to have some health issues, and as it turns out, I was developing an allergy to these chemicals.
Oh, really?
Right? And so it took me a long time to realize it because I've always had bad allergies. I was developing an allergy to the chemicals. It was fucking me up. So I kind of transitioned into car stuff from there.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I mean, the shit you do when you're young, right? I mean,
how old were you at the time?
I was in my somewhere in my 20s,
early
20s, 22, 23,
mid-20s?
24, something like that. And you know, the kind of shit you do at that age, you don't really have much to worry about. You don't have a family to take care of or anything like that, so you can do some silly shit. And so I did some silly shit, and then I spent a lot of time playing with cars, trying to do things that other people weren't doing, which sometimes paid off really well, like all the carburetors, and sometimes was horrible because I would invest too much time, or I would design and build a suspension kit and I'd put it out there and the sanctioning body would make it illegal, you know, shit like that. I was more interested in track records than I was in making a
How
buck.
did you even get involved in going to the track, though? Like, would somebody just lead you into it, or?
I honestly can't say that I remember. You know, I guess here's one thing that I had an RX-7.
Yeah.
I loved watching racing on TV. So, you know, if you like it, you're going to end up there eventually.
Right.
So I don't remember the exact transition from how I got from here to there. But the one thing that did happen along the way is that I at some point realized I was getting older and I needed to do something to make some money.
Yeah.
I spent a couple years trying to figure out what that was going to be, and eventually ended up being Injector Dynamics. When I said I needed to find a way to make some money, there's a difference between being a one or two man show, building custom parts for people, and doing something you can reproduce. Because you can't make any real money until it's something you can reproduce.
Right. A tangible item.
Yeah. So the Injector Dynamics, that's what Injector Dynamics was.
Yeah. So. That's super cool. And Injector Dynamics, for people that don't know, is a fuel injection company for fuel injectors, and
we provide really fucking big fuel injectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of it that I've seen to date, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is most of it is for racing applications.
Is for racing applications. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. How has that been like since you started the business then? Because I've always been intrigued by when people start a business, they get it going, you know, go through all the growing pains, get it off the ground, and then it starts kind of, you know, I don't want to say running itself because it makes it sound like the person's lazy, but it starts getting to a point where its gears are turning
self-supporting.
Yeah, self-supporting. Yeah. So that didn't just happen overnight.
No, it took. I don't know. We've been around for 12 years now, I think. It took a while. I mean, it just takes a lot of work. You just keep chugging away. And for anybody out there who's just starting a business, I will warn you in advance, there's not a better way to identify and suffer from every single fucking character flaw you have. There's not a better way than to start a business.
Yep.
You don't think about it until you do it, and you realize everything you're bad at becomes a fucking problem at some point.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like literally every single thing somehow becomes a problem, from the way you interact with people. I mean, literally everything. So there's a tremendous amount of personal growth that goes with building a business.
With the highs and lows, were you able to keep your brain pretty level-headed and you know, keep pushing through it?
Yeah, but I'm pretty much bouncing off the walls all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't. I mean, you say level. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't work in your case.
I'm always going 100 miles an hour after something.
I remember that.
To my detriment in many cases.
You had told me, you said, yeah, if you want to come over and work on your suspension, come over around 9 o'clock and we'll stay up till as late as it counts. And I'm like, dude, I woke up at like 4 o'clock this morning. I'm like, well, I don't have a choice. It's Paul's time now. So
well, there's other stuff to do during the day, and besides, I don't sleep that much.
Yeah.
So
that's a problem with a lot of successful people, not sleeping very much. Unfortunately, I've been getting a lot of sleep lately because my fucking body has to heal. So, but that's nature of the beast with me, man.
Well, if you just stop getting run over by cars. I mean, I don't know if I ever told you, but you don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't get run over by cars, George.
I don't know, man. I feel like I would have been struck by lightning on not a stormy day with a better chance of that. Yeah. Well, let's see here. We said when you got into the racing stuff, was it mostly in Phoenix then?
Yes.
So, or did you travel around the United States?
Yeah, it started in Phoenix, and then thanks to the internet, everything just started to spread out from there. So you have to remember, I mean, it's funny how quickly things have changed. When I first started really playing with cars in my early 20s, I was one of the early adopters of the internet. When I say early adopter, I don't mean computer geeks. I mean just Joe Blow who decides it was dial-up.
Yeah.
It was fucking slow as shit. But what happens is it brings you in touch with the world. So now you can have a product like these control arms.
And send it to everybody?
If you go back just 30 years, which is not that long, and you have this product, you sell it to people in town. What happens if you want to sell it outside of town? Yep. The best you can do is put an ad in a magazine and hope for the best, right? With the internet, that changed all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally changed all of that. So I'm not going to say it was a wise move on my part. I was just fascinated by it, and all of a sudden I'm in contact with people all over the world. And again, to everybody watching this who's younger than me, they probably don't get it, but it was a very different world just 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So the internet allowed me to expand. Now it just seems normal.
Yeah, it does. But it seems saturated now. Like whenever I think about that, and people ask me, because my day job for the past 15 years or so has been helping people with marketing, building websites, and getting a digital presence, and all of these different brand recognition things. And the first thing that I tell them is, it's already too saturated. Like you're not going to get any growth from this unless you put the work in, like somebody 30 years ago would do by placing orders and going to window shop. So it's different now than it used to be. And in that heyday, it was a lot easier. Anybody saying anything cool there?
Sponigal talking about me drinking iso-octane for a boost. Sorry, 224 TMP. Sorry. That just takes too long. Jeff, of course, would put it that way. By the way, I mentioned I've made some real friends on Facebook, which is amusing to me because I hated the concept. Jeff and I we're going to meet for the first time at of all things, a fucking risk seminar in in New York in about a month.
I think I might need to go to that.
Well, it's risk management from the standpoint of
financial,
of mathematics.
Oh, okay.
Mathematical based risk management, if that makes any sense. Anyway, Jeff's a fellow, I guess, math geek. My point is that I've made real friends on Facebook, which is amusing to me because I used to hate everything about it.
Kind of goes along the same lines of what you were saying, though. You grew the business through the internet. Now you can grow your personal. How did you get into the street racing then? So you
road course racing.
You're gonna have to correct me probably 20 times tonight. So the road course racing, you went to the track. Well, I guess maybe the better question is, how did you meet the Stout boys to be able to get into the dirt? Because this shows the dirt life.
Yeah. So right. And so I assume they only want to talk about dirt stuff for the most part, which is why I'm kind of blasting through some of this other shit instead of going into detail. The very short story is that at one point Robert Stout was racing a I don't even remember what car it was.
Well, now he races the Miata class, right?
Well, he's raced everything. I mean, from Indy Lights to sprint cars, but this was a World Challenge car. It was a Scion maybe when they came out with that supercharged Scion. I can't remember. Make a long story short, one of their sponsors was someone who has the balls to call themselves my competitor, and they were having a lot of problems with it. They hired a tuner named Shane Tecklenburg to help tune it, and Shane said, "Get those fucking injectors out of there. Put these in so I can do my job." And somebody said, well, we can't because they're sponsoring our car. And Shane, being Shane, basically said, fuck you. put these
put them in
there.
anyways.
And so, he was being a hard ass about it, which he can be.
So your injectors made your way into their car?
Right, so they end up in there, and they ran the season. I think they won the championship in that car. So
wow.
it had one name on the side, but something else under the hood, which is an amusing story. But Shane introduced me to...
You'd be surprised how much that happens in racing.
Yeah, Shane introduced me to Ken at PRI one year. Unfortunately, I was in kind of a hurry, like I always am at the show, but I remember thinking, that guy was pretty cool.
And you didn't know who Ken was at the time? And we're talking about...
I knew who he was because it was one of those, man, you look familiar, and then, from television.
Right. And so we're talking about Ken Stout, he's done a lot of off-road, he's done a lot of circle track stuff, and he's the announcer for a bunch of television shows.
Yeah,
and things like
exactly.
that.
So I'd seen him on TV, and it didn't click, and then it registered the voice. As soon as you hear the voice, wait, I've heard that voice. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anyway, not long after that, I ended up at Bondurant for their 5-day course, and Robert was my instructor.
Yep.
And I remember the first time I was in the car with him driving, it was on the little oval section there. They run you through a lot of different things, and I remember not really paying that much attention. I was paying attention to what he was teaching me. He wasn't really pushing the car that hard. He was just trying to show me what I was doing wrong and getting the car around there, and I didn't really pay that much attention. Worked with him more throughout the next couple days, and then one day he got in the driver's seat. Well, he did a ride along, then he got in the driver's seat to show me, here, you fucking dummy, this is what you're doing wrong. And the accelerometer in my head started going ding, 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 like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
When I ride in a car with a driver, as silly as this sounds, I'm not so much looking out the window as I'm like looking over the data in my head.
Right.
I'm kind of feeling what's going on. And that fucking guy, from the moment he let off the gas pedal at the end of the straight until he finally straightened out the steering wheel in the next straight, was on the fucking edge.
Really?
And the whole time he's sawing at the wheel, like really quick hand movements, but if you close your eyes, the car is just floating.
Yeah.
The whole time. And I'm watching that, and there's a way to quantify that in the data. And I'm thinking, man, this motherfucker, I bet if I could quantify this, if I had data in the car, he is on the edge for like 98% of the entire corner.
Yeah.
It was just, and maybe he was having a particularly good day too, because sometimes you're better than others, but fuck, I was just floored, like, what? Who the fuck is this guy?
And Robert Stout is a fantastic driver too.
Holy fuck. I'm talking about Robert.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so anyway, to follow up on the story, the night you raced, when you were on the track with Robert, I have to back up a little bit. We supply fuel injectors for the Pro 2s and the Pro 4s as part of a spec package for Motec. So I showed up at the local track to give Motec the injectors for the series. I said, I'll just deliver them. I'll come by. I'll watch the racing. It sounds cool. And I hear the name Robert Stout. What the fuck is Robert Stout doing in the dirt, And then Joanna looks it up on her phone, and she says, well, it says he's running a season. He doesn't race in the dirt. What the fuck? And then I look, and he's running around 12th, 13th, or something like that. I said to Joanna, watch. This guy's not going to stay in 12th or 13th for long. And I start watching, and the car's just a ball of shit. It's fucking bad. And I had just recently been doing some suspension stuff that was very much related to, because that's kind of what he was doing. So I sent a text to his dad. I said, are you here? He said, yeah, I'm here. And I said, man, this car looks rough. Do you need a suspension sponsor? And basically said, well, man, I'd like to talk about that. And I talked to him a couple days later, and he said, well, I didn't know you did suspension. I said, well, yeah, I do, but I don't know anything about the dirt. But I'll tell you what. I said, I will invest the time and the effort, and let's go do this, and we can test. And if you like it, great. If you don't, it didn't cost you a thing.
Got it.
And I talked to Robert, and basically the idea was, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and neither do you, because you're new to the dirt, but we're both good at what we do, so we can figure this out, right?
Yep.
So we kind of threw up our hands and said, well, fuck, here we go.
That's cool.
And then I showed up at that regional you were at, and he ran the car in the Production 1000 and the Turbo class and podiumed on both of them.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's the one I wasn't racing, though.
That was right. That was a regional.
Yeah.
That was my first time on the track with him.
That's cool. And he actually did really good at that race.
I know, and it's like,
so now you're talking about
the dirt. What the fuck, dude?
What year was it that he worked with Bondurant? Do you know?
I don't remember. That was 6-7 years ago. He's been a driving instructor for, I think, probably a decade now. He works for BMW now as a driving instructor. Yeah.
So I want to say, for some reason, like, I remember his face. I went and taught at Bondurant. They had me become a teacher over there in a YXZ.
Oh, for dirt stuff. Cool.
On the pavement in a YXZ, so I could showcase the not being able to use your legs and the disability stuff,
right?
For a group of the baroneurological people, and what they do is they have like a track day or a water day for skiers and stuff like that. So it's a day out for therapy for all these people that just broke their backs and stuff. And that's how I got into be a peer mentor from the Barrows Institute. But we as teachers and as advocates of the program got to go ride with people in the Corvettes on the road course.
The yellow Corvettes?
Were they yellow at the time? I don't know, whatever they were. But I swear to God, like I'm thinking in my head, like
maybe you rode them.
Maybe, because it felt the same. Like it felt like I was just like floating on a cloud.
Right, and his hands were busy.
Yeah,
but the car was just smooth as
yeah.
I still remember it. I clearly remember it because I look at it from the engineering standpoint, and man, it was a piece of fucking work. It really was.
That's super
good
cool
stuff. So
I'll have to ask you about it one of these days.
I had a lot of confidence.
And in his abilities. Well, that's such a cool way to get into it, though. And the part that I take away from that I like so much is you have to work for what you're going to get. So it's like starting from the bottom and working up to the top. Mm-hmm. You told them that they didn't have any risk. You were going to put in the effort because we were
going to do a test day, and like that way you can decide, fuck off or hey, let's work together.
But you and I talked about a society and a generational thing now. And the reason that I started the Dirt Life was because I wanted people to understand that growing up in the dirt without anything, without pavement, without grocery stores, without gas anywhere close to us, the Dirt Life made me think of the same things that you are saying right now. I didn't have a bicycle track to ride unless I put in the work to build it.
Oh, okay.
You didn't have a job with Ken and Robert unless you put in the work to make that.
To make him think I was worth working
And it's the same basic concept. And that's the reason why I started the show is because there's a lot of value that comes from being in the dirt and working your way up. And when I say the dirt, I mean being at the bottom and working up to the top.
I actually made a post about that recently. I fucking love doing shit that I'm bad at. I don't mean...
And trying to figure it out.
I don't mean just doing it once. It's like, I suck. I don't want to do that. Fuck that. I mean going at it like, I'm going to figure this out. That's exciting. It's exciting when you make improvements. But the other thing is that... it definitely brings out the best in you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So you show up, everybody just assumes you're a fucking idiot, and they're at least half right, maybe 100% right, and you have to pay attention. You have to make you have to make good decisions.
Yep.
You have to work real hard, and it's like, you know what it's like? It's like a really good workout at the gym, where you leave the gym and you're just beat down and everything's sore and sweat's dripping off, and you think, man, that was fucking cool. That's what it's like to go and do something you're not good at. I love it. So
that's the same way.
This was a big challenge for me.
That's so cool. I love those challenges too. Then the reason that I was
desert is next.
That's cool. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
It's going to be harder, I think.
That's
and I haven't really figured all this out yet. And I don't think. I mean, I hope it's okay to speak for Robert. I think he would agree that he's not everything he can be. So when I say that, and I think this goes for him too. Neither one of us has reached our potential yet in short course, right? I'm not comparing myself to anybody else out there. I'm saying I haven't reached my potential in terms of what I can make the car do. And I think he would say that he hasn't reached his potential for what he can make the car do.
Right.
So, we're not done there. I'm not ready to go play in the desert yet because I'm really not as good at
I can't wait to see how you guys come up with it, man.
Well, I mean, look, this all sounds great now because we won the championship, right? So, but next year I might go out there and fucking trip over my dick all season long, right? So everything I say now that seems like a good idea, well, we got to wait and see what happens next year.
Well, you're not sleeping on it though, because that's what happens with most people, and this happens in all kinds of championships. But most people win the championship and they go, "Oh, we're good," and then everybody else is ready to kick their ass next season.
Now.
Yeah,
next year's going to be worse.
Yeah,
they're fucking coming for us. For
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. I know one guy who goes by the last name of Cheek. He definitely wants to beat you guys.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's
an awesome competition.
Oh,
right there,
I know. Him and Brock, those two little fuckers caused me so much grief last year.
They're fantastic kids, though.
Oh my God, they can just. Well, first of all, Miles is just a really cool kid. I don't know much about Brock because I had one conversation with Brock where I said, "Man, I watch you and you're a bad motherfucker," and he kind of seems shy.
We got to put together
with a little.
Yeah, we got to put together a bet with Miles because Miles wants to be a chef when he grows up. Yeah. So we got to put together a bet with him, and I can use you as leverage now. Like say, if Robert beats you, then you have to cook steaks for all of us after the races.
Yeah. Well, him and Chuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chuck's coming. Yeah, and he likes to remind me sometimes, too, like, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. And Brock, I mean, geez, that kid. I often find myself not having words to describe what that fucking kid can do in a car. It's just you watch and you go, what?
It is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, but Robert makes a really good point. He said it more than once, and I love the way he worded it. And by the way, he's one of the few drivers that has an exception. No, that's not a nice way to put it. Let me just say that Robert has an exceptional intellect, okay? I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
The way he put it was Brock and Miles legitimized that class. And that pretty much says it all. Those two make it worth trying to win out there.
It really does. They're fantastic drivers, man.
Those two, man, they're just, and yeah. Anyway.
Well, so you got in with the Stout boys, and you started doing all this stuff, and you, like you said, you tripped up a bunch when you're going through the whole season. What were some of the first season actually is probably more of a talking point.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest mistakes that you guys made?
Okay, from the beginning, the biggest misconception I had is that I went into it thinking that this was going to be all about grip, valving the dampers to make as much grip as possible. And I found out that that's not really the case because all of these cars have enough grip under most conditions that if you overcommit on the corner, you're going to end up on your top.
Right.
Because the center of gravity is so high.
Yep.
So right off the bat, I had this mindset and this concept that I had been focusing on. Because when I get into something, I really focus on it intently.
Yep.
For however long I was working on that car, valving the shocks, the dampers, that it was all about grip. So I had to change my mindset when I realized that's not really what this is all about. Because, like I said, the high center of gravity means you can put the cars upside down. Making more grip just makes it easier to turn the fucker over.
Exactly.
So that was the biggest misconception that I had off the beginning.
And they're so low power compared to what you would be like a Pro 4 or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
so you can't manipulate the vehicle as much as a driver would want.
Yeah,
you have to kind of underdrive it.
Wheel spin helps you get in and out of a rut for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was the biggest misconception. The biggest mistake was when I look back at I always try to figure out why something happened, right, to make sure it doesn't happen again. Very short story is the first time we go to Glen Helen, that big gnarly jump on the backside. So thankfully, Robert had talked to Brandon Arthur, who said, you're going to want to lift a little bit when you hit that.
Yep.
Because Robert said, when you look at it, you think, it's just foot to the floor. This is nothing. But, of course, it's a horrible landing. And when he did lift a little, but he was going for it. And when he landed, he blew through the suspension, ran the car right out of travel. And then the tire compressed enough that the chassis slammed into the ground.
Yep.
So once the chassis hits the ground, there's no more cushion.
Nope.
And it shoved it all right through his back.
Yep, I've done that a few times.
Yeah, it was not a good thing. I mean, it was pretty bad.
You get out of the car and you feel like you're 2 inches shorter.
He hit hard. He hit real hard. And there's a couple reasons that happened. One is that I had no concept of how hard that landing was going to be.
Yep. The amount of actual force that goes through it is insane.
Yeah, and our car previously had been really good on landings because I'd really gotten that nailed. I just did not know how much force was going to be fed into the car. It's tremendous. And then the other thing is that right before that, I changed to a different tire. I went from the 27.5 to the 26.5, and I never stopped.
And those are both Hoosier tires, right?
They're both the Hoosier, an identical tire except for the diameter. So it put the chassis a half an inch closer to the ground, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you're talking about running the fucking chassis into the ground.
Right.
So the car runs out of travel. It continues to compress the tire, and there was that much less to compress, and so it banged the chassis into the ground. So I kind of stumbled around that weekend because I didn't have my shock dyno with me. I didn't have the tools to completely fix it. And then I got back to the shop and I did a bunch of work to make sure that it would never happen again. And the next time we were there, the car was great. But the point is that I say that's the biggest mistake because that one could have fucked him up.
Right.
So, and one of the things that struck me, and I mentioned it, it was a rough weekend. We were all pretty frazzled. When you fuck a driver up, at least for me,
that's a good point because you do actually have quite a bit of resting on your shoulders. Yeah.
I was, it was like, holy shit, I could have fucked this kid up. Well, I shouldn't call him a kid. I guess he's 27 now. But anyway, yeah, it was just not cool. So that was the biggest mistake. And then one of the things that it brought to my mind is that even being new to the dirt, one of the things about Robert is he's so comfortable in a car, he's one of those guys that can get in it and just fucking hammer it and
Right.
go now. And he thought he was being a little bit conservative. So the whole thing is, look, when we get someplace new, when there's some new danger, you need to make sure you're not going to fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And me too. I need to tell them, hey, I'm not sure how this thing's going to land, so just fucking take it easy. You know?
So I like that mentality because a lot of the and Hornsby can probably vouch for this too. Is a lot of the guys that do the off-road stuff, and me being guilty of this too, coming from motocross, you can manipulate the motorcycle no matter what. So every time I got into, like, when I first started racing short course, it was like it was in slow motion for me.
Yeah.
Like, I would go and I'd be like, can't this thing go any faster?
Right.
And then I'd get into a corner and I'd overcook it and I'd think, oh, well, I can just move my body but it's different. Yeah. So I would always be bicycling in. I would be doing these things because I was underdriving and overdriving at the same time because I didn't really get it like the way that Robert does. And for me, it was just like the whole thing. I would want to push and push and push harder and harder and harder, and I think that's the way almost every off-road guy thinks. They don't fall back on like what you're saying and be like, we got to go into this a little bit more as a gradual pace.
Well, and there's another piece of that. One of Robert's really exceptional skills is I liken it to Jackie Ickx, if anybody remembers that driver. Jackie Ickx was the guy who would fucking disappear when it rained because he could go and put the car at 98% lap after lap after lap. Somebody might get a faster lap than him, and then they'd fucking crash the car.
Yeah.
Robert's like that. Robert can go out and get on it and get right there close to the edge and keep it there and run without making mistakes. In fact, I think to some degree, as a driver, he's very driven by not making mistakes.
The consistency, yeah.
He's very, very proud of being a guy who doesn't fuck up. And that's a big part of what paid off in the championship.
That's really true.
Because, he would stay out of trouble. But the other thing is that he was able to go out in qualifying and just fucking go bang.
Yeah.
I mean, once he got beat in qualifying. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. Once with our car. The very first race, our car wasn't ready yet. We ran Weller's car. He qualified fourth. It was a last-minute thing out there in somebody else's car.
I remember that, yeah.
We went out in our car, and all but once he qualified on the pole.
That's awesome.
Miles got us once. Well, fucker, I got to get even with him. I like that kid. I got to get even. I'm going to slash his tires like that.
I love that kid, too.
Anyway, but my point is that that's the kind of stuff Robert can do. And that's a big part of why he won the championship is because he was very good at not fucking up.
Yeah, and his consistency. He's just a great driver in general. Yeah. Well, I would definitely want to talk about some of that stuff. Like, I want to wait to talk about we're going to take a commercial break. We'll talk about the championship year.
Commercial break.
And I also want to talk about some of the stuff, like you said, like going out there and going crazy so you don't fuck up on the course. So we're going to take a quick commercial break to thank our sponsors.
What do I do during the commercial break?
You can go take a pee. Well, you can't get a refill on coffee because we don't have any here. But
I drive really fast.
We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. We'll see you guys in a second.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The Halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE
to get 10% off your next purchase and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Lint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. Yeah. We are back. Man, that was awesome commercial break. We want to talk about a couple things, but you had something to say, didn't you?
I did. Before I forget, I see Garrick there from Lone Star Racing, and I want to mention that they're building our new cars for next year.
Sweet. You're talking about the short course cars? Or
Yep, short course cars. In fact, I'll announce what we're doing for next year later if you want. But the short story for right now is that Garrick is in charge of the project there. They're putting the cars together, and I'm experiencing a high level of give a shit from those guys.
Those guys are fantastic dudes over there.
They want to do a nice job.
Yeah.
And when they are doing a nice job, and they're working hard to meet time deadlines and quality deadlines.
Is this going to be Garrick and his team's first adventure into short course?
No, I don't think so. They don't do very much of it, but I just want to say that I think they're doing a really fucking phenomenal job.
Yeah.
You know how it is. I like to put it out there, either good or bad. I like to make noise about it. So
I've only met him at arm's length, so I just heard tons of good stuff about those guys. So
yeah, good stuff.
Sweet, man. Well, I'm glad that you guys are getting them done because you've had so much trouble in the past too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, one thing that I want to talk about before we get into your championship season is the Supercross race from Saturday night. So it spawned a whole bunch of questions in my head. And before we get into it, let's watch this this Supercross clip. So check this out. We'll be right back with you guys in a couple seconds to talk about it.
There are a lot of similarities when you talk to Johnny and what Jets.
Here we go. Whoa! Takes Christian.
Gosh dang, man.
That was a big hit.
That was harsh. And Christian Craig.
I saw it briefly. I never paid any attention to it. So this time I paid attention.
To me, like, when I see something like that, there's an initial judgment that everybody makes. Like, oh, whatever, you took him out and it's bad. You look bad, right?
Yeah.
The first thing that I thought in this was, okay, two people are going to be pissed. One person's going to be pissed because he fell down. The other person's going to be pissed because he was taken out. Mm-hmm. And one of them couldn't get back up and race. They could have gotten hurt. All these different things, right? But when you look at the general consensus of putting yourself on any race course, myself included, I know the risks when I go out there. Mm-hmm. I know that something can happen. I know that I'm signing a waiver. I know that I'm putting my life at risk. I know that I'm doing all these different things. Does that mean that we should be able to know that these things are going to happen and just be okay with them? Or, you know, because it kind of brings in that thing like we talked about a little bit when we were going to get coffee, is that in street racing, there's a thing, or in road course racing,
Thank you.
There is a, I don't know if you want to call it a mindset. You don't touch the other person's car. You don't push them out of the way.
You can rub a little.
It's different than dirt bikes and short course, though, and off-road.
Yeah.
You know,
that's taking some getting used to for us.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I wanted to get your opinion is, you know, in short course, like for me, I was used to the dirt bike racing stuff. You come in and I don't necessarily agree with the stuff that we just watched, but you come in and you're forceful. Mm-hmm. The short course stuff is much more forceful.
Oh, God. It's
and
bad.
It's a lot less care. And they even say the term MMA for off-road racing.
Yeah,
and
it gets bad sometimes.
It really does. So before you got in the off-road racing, what's the mindset of the road course drivers in situations like that? If you can't get around somebody, if you're held up by them, like when you push them,
you see a little bit of pushing and shoving, but I mean, there's a certain, well, I mean, you just don't do stupid shit, right? It's not acceptable. And in short course so far, I've seen a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's certain people. It's not short course racing. It's certain people. Robert can go out and race with Miles every single fucking race for an entire season without them taking each other out.
Because both of them are good drivers and they understand each other.
Right. You know, and you can't say that about everybody out there. And again, it's your show, so I'm not going to mention any names, but there are some guys out there that are just fucking morons who will take you and themselves out. A combination of incompetence and not giving a shit.
Unfortunately, I was on the bad end of the stick of that a few times.
Now,
even from championship drivers.
Yeah, and at the same time, there are times you just make a mistake, right? In fact, maybe Robert will be mad at me for saying this, but he ended up taking Robbie out one time, Robbie Hornsby, but here's the important part of that: he just plain fucked up, right? Mm-hmm. He's not that kind of a driver. He just plain fucked up. So Robbie, you know, being Robbie, and I would have done the same, came up afterwards, said, "Hey, you just fucking took me out. What are you doing?
What's your problem?"
And so Robert said, "I got no excuses. I just fucked up. I'm sorry." So I ended up talking to Robbie about it later, and basically he said, you know, I appreciate him dealing with it like a man.
Yeah.
Instead of making fucking excuses like, dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry. And now they're buddies, because Hornsby knows that Robert's a good guy who doesn't make excuses. Anyway, the point I'm making is that sometimes a really good driver will fuck up. It happens.
But the way to
maybe
deal
that's
with it,
what happened in that video on that bike. I don't know.
Well, so we can get into that too, but and it kind of goes along with what you're saying. But the stuff that I've dealt with in short course racing, because in motocross, if something bad happens like that, you'd be like, dude, it was the last corner of the last race of the championship, or something like that, and then you see it's a different mindset. Or if something happens, you go and you talk to the dude and you man up and you say, dude, sorry, or what was your problem? Or most guys won't come up with an excuse because there is no excuse, right? But in the short course stuff, for the first 3 years, every time something happened to me was because of another driver's fault.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even tell you how many pussy-ass Facebook messages saying that they were sorry.
Yeah, right. So,
and it was like, I was at that same race. Did you not know that you could have come over and talked to me?
Well, part of the reason that you see less of that in motocross is that the consequences are higher, right? So if you,
I'm not saying you see less takeouts. I'm saying you see less dudes being a pussy. You see more dudes being a man.
I see.
In short course, there was hardly any of that. Everybody was just chicken shit.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm not calling anybody out saying that I want to fight. I'm saying they could have just said sorry.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah.
So at that point, you know who that person is. The moment that happens and it's not dealt with correctly, you know exactly who that person is.
Right.
And in my mind, if I'm on the track and something goes sideways, taking that motherfucker out.
Yep.
But that's me. I will tell you that I think Robert is much more sensible.
I agree.
He's far less of a hothead than I am. But my thing would be, all right, dickhead. Anyway, maybe that's not relevant to the show. Sorry,
no, I think it is.
Some of those guys are fucking morons, and some of them are phenomenal.
And this is the exact reason I wanted to get into this, is because my initial thought when I saw that was like, what the heck was that guy thinking? And
looked to me like he just fucked up.
So there's that, okay. But
doesn't make it right, but
I know enough people to be able to understand what was going on through his head, because I heard through the grapevine what he actually said to people, not what he said in press conferences and things like that.
Yeah.
So understanding the situation and seeing how it went, there's two sides of the story. You could see the red side of the story, and you could see, oh my God, that guy just took me out. You could see the blue side of the story, which is the Yamaha guy. He actually fell down because he was too hot in his head because he wanted to get going and win the race. He wanted it too much.
He was driving over his head.
Basically, yeah, riding over his head, driving over his head. And he cost himself because he fell down. But
well, and look, that's what happens a lot in short course.
It's
incompetence.
And I don't want to say it was incompetence for him. I want to give the benefit of the doubt as well as responsibility.
Okay, but I would say if he pushed too hard, I mean, he fucked up, right? And
absolutely.
What's the definition of being incompetent?
100%. But
it happens.
And I'm not vying for anybody in this situation. I'm only trying to state what I see from both sides of the story and what happens in a reaction standpoint. So he unfortunately made a mistake. Purposefully or not, that's to be judged by the person that's looking at the video. He made a mistake, and when he was on the podium, he got booed by 60,000 fans. And all of a sudden, he's made a very, very bad career choice. He's now cost himself popularity, which is unfortunate in his case. And I'm not saying he did good or bad. I'm saying this is what happened. This is the reality of the situation at this point. Those things don't happen in short course racing. It's not big enough to get that thing. And everybody that's watching in the stands is waiting for that, wanting that, and looking for that.
Shit. Yeah.
Us as racers don't want that.
So it's a pretty simple, almost any situation like that in my mind is pretty simple, and I'm going to steal a term from someone, which is skin in the game. If they don't have any skin in the game, why should they stop doing it? Another way to look at it is, what are the consequences, right? When somebody
you don't go to a road course race looking for a fight. You go to a short course race looking. If you're a fan, you go to a short course race looking for a fight.
You think so?
Absolutely. That's what they're sitting in the stands for.
I don't see it happening out there. I've seen
if there's
things on
10
the
Pro
track.
4 trucks that go out there, 3 of them usually finish.
Yeah, except that I never see any brawls in the pits.
I'm not saying brawls in the pits. I'm saying that they use their trucks to fight.
Oh, that kind of a fight.
And that's what they're using to market short course.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of marketing.
Me neither.
I would like them to market some fucking racing, not. I mean,
Robbie
if I
said
see
it's in
boxing,
every form of racing, so I agree with that. But I don't know. Like I'm still on the fence about this. Like I don't think that there's a right answer. Truthfully, like in my opinion, I could put blame all over the place.
So I would say that if people do dumb shit repeatedly, it's because there aren't consequences. And if I need to be the guy to apply the consequences to make that shit stop happening to me, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, that hasn't happened. We haven't gotten fucked enough for that to happen. But my point is that if there's not enough consequence, they're going to continue to do it. So you got to.
He's on a 12-month probation now. So.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so there's some consequence, and maybe there needs to be more consequence in short course, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from the officials.
That's pretty true. I remember one time I got taken out, and our mutual friend Robert Van Beekum and a guy named Adam Grunder and a couple other guys made sure that it never happened to me again.
Right. You just got to let people know you can't fucking do that. Yeah. That's why Robbie came to talk to Robert. Like, look, motherfucker, I'm not the guy you can do that shit to. Yeah. And as it turned out, it was shit that happens, right? But the point is, Robbie was not going to let that go down. And I think when somebody fucks you, you need to let them know.
How would you feel? How would you feel at a professional level? And so the Supercross
and
motocross,
a professional level.
Supercross and motocross is not like F1, but let's use F1 as a context here. Let's just say Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc get into some sort of battle on the track, right? Do they walk up to each other and settle it as men afterwards, or do they just go about their professional business?
I don't think people should be brawling in the pits.
I'm not saying brawl. I'm saying have a conversation like what Robbie and
yes, absolutely, and leave it out of the press conference. I mean, fuck those guys with the cameras. Who cares, right? They can deal with it on their own.
And I agree with that 100%.
Now, there's only one problem with that. The adrenaline levels are so high during a race that immediately after, pretty much everybody's got a bad case of the stupid. So there's
go eat some tacos first and then come back.
Yeah, very possibly.
Yeah.
But most people, unfortunately, don't have the spine to do that. Once they're no longer angry, they won't be confrontational, or they won't bring it up.
It happened to me a bunch in short course racing, and I never once sent a Facebook message like what these people did to me.
Yeah,
but I walked up to people straight to their face, and I said, hey.
What did you do? Why did you do that? What the fuck?
But I asked them. I didn't say, you're in the wrong. I said, what happened?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good approach.
Well, I think it was a good approach, and it was also me just being me, but I think it could have been more stern and showed my frustration and my forcefulness. But I also think that it was the best way to deal with those situations in those cases of those people accepting it. Because had I gone up there with guns blazing,
I like the idea that you asked. I would have gone up with guns blazing because I would be an idiot and angry, which is fucking stupid. The way you did it is far better. Now, then if they give you a stupid answer.
And I usually got a good answer of why it happened, mechanical, whatever it was, or, dude, I did it wrong. I'm sorry.
Then you respect that person. You don't fuck with them.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I have good relationships with those people nowadays.
Yeah. So. In the dirt, it'll happen sooner. Everybody out there is going to take somebody out eventually because it's so sloppy in the dirt.
Yeah, especially when they water the freaking track like they did, man.
Well,
holy crap.
You can't see sometimes. And, I mean, I really think everybody who races in the dirt long enough in short course is going to take somebody out eventually.
How you guys didn't take each other out at Wheatland that one year? Holy shit, man! Just with all that mud.
Well,
my God!
Remember, we got butt fucked on that deal, and man, I'm telling you, if this was my podcast, he was doing well. He was in second place till he got fucking hammered.
What happened? I don't remember. You told me the story,
but I don't
remember.
Yeah, he was in second place. He got hit so fucking hard, I thought he was going to get tipped over. Now, I've got some pretty intense data acquisition in the car. That was a 3.5 G hit. That's how hard he got hit.
Holy shit.
Tipped the car up to 35 degrees. And I know that because I looked at the data in case I needed to be able to argue.
Oh, and you have a roll calculator or something on it?
Yeah, I've got angle sensors in there too. So, yeah, I
mean,
he got
crap.
fucking pounded. Just guy slid all the way from the inside edge to the outside and knocked him off the track, just about put him over. And that's just, and if you watch, that fucking douchebag does it to people all the time.
Man, I hate that kind of stories. And that's the reason why I wanted to have this discussion.
You've been on the far side of that same.
Yeah.
On to the next, yeah.
But the thing that I don't mind, though, is, like, I hate having to fix the car, first of all.
Yes.
Like, that just plain sucks.
Yeah.
But if somebody has something happen and they come up and say, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I had one guy actually totally fuck up in practice. And at the time,
ouch.
It was in practice, and they had SR1s out with the production guys at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And an SR1 guy lost it, and he fucked up my car. And I didn't ever get pissed or anything like that, and I waited for half an hour. And when he was done with his practice session, he got undressed. He came over and he goes, "Dude, I'm so sorry. What do you need?" And I said, "Unfortunately, I need this, and this. I need a welder. We got to fix this." He goes, "All right, I'm going to send 2 of my guys over. I'll come over," and the situation was handled.
You should name his name.
Yeah. Well, he's actually my partner in livetrackfeed.com. His name's Ryan McCormick.
Very cool.
So
good guy.
He's really good, and that's what I wish that they would do. Like in the motocross stuff, I don't know that they have talked after this, but I would think that it would be a good, respectable thing to be able to do it, man.
Yeah.
How do they deal with it in street race or in road course racing?
I mean, every situation's different. The problem is that people are pretty hot-headed afterwards, crews and drivers and everything. So a lot of things go sideways for that reason. It's almost like if you could have a cooling down period. If you could say, you guys don't get to talk to each other for a half an hour.
Like in hockey, you got to sit in the box for a little bit?
Or have a hockey period. Fine, just here, put on the gloves so nobody gets really fucked up.
And then just let it rip?
And then you can chat later.
Man, that would actually probably work out pretty good for some of these short course guys. All right, well, enough about that. I really appreciate you telling me about that stuff because it gives a different perspective, and I like to be able to understand from different points of view because I don't want to hate anybody. I want both these guys to go back out there next weekend. And they're both at the top level of a sport that needs attention.
Yeah. Now, I will say there is one other piece to this that may get overlooked because I'm always trying to look at things objectively. There are times when something happens on the track and somebody is afraid to go talk to the person because they're afraid they might get their ass beat or it might turn into a big scene. Now, that's a spineless move, granted, but sometimes and maybe often or maybe every time that's why things never get settled because they just don't have the sack to go over and have a conversation. That's a common thing. I mean,
we're not going to say the name on the show, Ken, but he did the same thing to me. So, and Robert Van Beekam's given the
just so you know,
too.
Ken. The only reason I didn't say it is because it's not my show.
Yeah, and the respect level for that guy, unfortunately, is very low, and it's not just because of what happened to us. It's because of things that he's done. In my opinion, with his family.
Ken doesn't care. He'll let it rip.
So, anyways.
Ken's a scrappy dude.
I want to show a couple pictures because these pictures are pretty exciting, and then let's talk about your championship year. So let's go through some of these pictures real quick. You can kind of explain them all. This first one is showing you guys all win the championship, man. That was a good time.
Listen, if you don't zoom that in on her cleavage, I'm fucking leaving right now.
And well, they'd already switched, man. It's only 5 seconds. Now we got Robert jumping.
Okay.
You got the car and the dyno.
Yeah.
And so this actually puts a lot of perspective.
Hey, look at that. That's an old picture.
Yeah, Joanna and Ian. What?
Yeah. So my photographer buddies.
Robert Van Beekam. Ooh, look at him.
Yeah, that guy can get some shit done.
And then Garrick's new car, right?
Yes, Lone Star built that car. In fact, that's the reason they're building our new cars because that thing is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that thing is cool.
Not only is it beautiful, Robert gets it home. He lives at the base of the mountains, and basically he can go out the back door and be in the desert.
Okay.
And he went out and started raising hell in that thing right away, and I wasn't there for all of it, but I didn't hear any stories about shit falling off the car.
Yeah.
Right? So
right there, you're like, win!
No, my point is Lone Star gives him a car, and it's not a pile of shit. He goes out. I mean, you know how he is. He can't go out and ease into anything. He's like full fucking throttle pulling it out of the garage. That's how Van Beekam is.
That guy's a maniac, but he's a good maniac.
Yeah, but my point is that they delivered a car. They were tight on time, which is when things get fucked up.
Right.
And he goes out there and starts thrashing the car. He loves the way the car feels, and parts weren't falling off of it.
It looks bitchin' too. I love the way that thing looks, man.
Yeah, so here I am sucking Lone Star's dick again. I got to stop that. You know what? Hey, if you guys are still there, you need to sponsor the show.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
How about it, Garrick?
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, well, let's get into the championship then, because I was at the final race of the season at Wild Horse Pass, and I was jumping out of my seat when I was watching you guys. That was so awesome. And
final race was boring. That was Robert being smart and staying out of trouble.
I mean, it would have been cool if he had just went out in there and smoked everybody. But the fact is like I was sitting there in the stands going, these guys achieved it in a short amount of time. These guys put in a shitload of work, and I kind of felt like I saw a lot of it. I mean, I didn't see the hours every single hour that you guys spent on it, but seeing you guys come through the ranks and being able to do that, man, there's not very many teams that are able to do it.
Well, Yeah, I got nothing to say, actually. So
I don't know, man. You're a small team, and you guys were able to do it. So I think that's
we
pretty
worked hard.
pretty
We
respectful.
worked real fucking hard. And I warned them. I didn't tell them I was going to kick their ass. I didn't tell them I was better than them. I just told them I was going to outwork them. And I will say confidently that I accomplished. I outworked them. And a little bit of luck is required in every championship. So we had that little bit of luck. And we outworked them. And not just me, Robert outworked him too, because he's constantly picking apart what he's doing. I think that's one of the keys.
Analyzing his own skill set.
We're both, we don't necessarily display it publicly, but we're both very hard. Well, I don't want to say hard on ourselves.
You're always critical of the stuff that you do.
We're critical of ourselves. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word. We're critical of ourselves. So we're trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. What's the right way to drive the fucking car?
Yeah.
What's the right way to set it up? So
And even if it was a perfect weekend, like we've had weekends where we'll come home and we'll have one, and it was awesome. But we will still have an 8-hour discussion on the drive home about what we could have done better.
yeah,
And
I obsess over it.
Yeah, I know you do. I like that obsessiveness, though. And to go back a little bit, so you went through the first year and you tripped up a bunch of times.
We had a handful of like 7th place finishes and shit like that. It was not cool.
But you got on the podium a few times.
On the podium a few times, on
And
the
then
pole
so
a few times.
The second year, going through it, you guys made a lot of changes. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is you helped Lucas develop the programs a little bit. So you helped some of the tech guys, and you had some really mindful things that were intellectually stimulated and to help the series grow as a whole, to make it more competitive for everybody.
Well, we made an effort to work with them rather
That's what
than
I mean.
against them. We worked hard to develop a non-adversarial relationship with the people making the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference when you do that.
I think so.
And that's kind of goes along the lines of what we were talking about. You just be a man and you show what needs to be done, and you offer solutions. And it's the same kind of thing that you were doing with Robert and Ken. Now, did Robert and Ken have expectations on what they think? Because Ken's been around the off-road scene for a long time. He's seen a lot. Did he have expectations and understand the path that you wanted to take?
I don't know, and the reason I don't know is that remember when I said early on that the best way to find out everything you're bad at is to start a business?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that became very clear to me over the years is that I have a near sociopathic lack of empathy, meaning I don't really get what's going on in other people's heads because I don't fucking care because I'm busy doing my own shit. Mm-hmm. I should have a good answer for you. The problem is I don't pay enough attention to that stuff because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. And then when somebody jumps in to say, hey, what are you doing? Then I'm just fucking pissed off. Leave me the fuck alone. I got shit to do. So
yeah.
I'm not always the easiest guy to work with. I don't know what expectations they had because, unfortunately, I was enough of a dickhead through some of it to probably not pay attention when I should have been.
Well, maybe
I'm just telling you that's like I'm very self-critical, and that's one thing that I'm bad at, and so I don't have the answer to the question because I was just single-minded.
Well, Ken put a cool guy with glasses on there, so he must have thought you were cool.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, I'm sure there was a few times he's thinking, that fucking guy. But at the same time, he saw that we had the same goal, so I think he figured of the three of us, I'm the best suited to make the car work, so maybe I should just
he was trusting of what you were working on.
Maybe I should just leave the grumpy motherfucker alone and let shit happen. So
well, and if he's ever been to your shop and has worked with you, he knows that it's a mad scientist getting to the final potion, you know. Yeah, but it's a mad scientist working for a solution. So I think it's fantastic that you guys all work together. It's kind of funny how the whole team kind of came together, like what you were saying earlier, and how much actual
mutual respect.
Yeah, and how much actual awesomeness came out of it. It's just bitching.
The thing that doesn't get talked about, by the way, and I need to put this out there because it was hugely important, is Chris Boudrim, who's at the shop working on the cars during the day.
Yep.
More than anybody I know gets it, and what I mean by that is one of the most common questions for me to ask people, I swear on a daily basis, is, are you sure? Because people will say, you know, the light's green, the bolt's tight, this wire is properly routed, and they'll say it without being sure about it. It drives me fucking crazy. It makes me throw tools and flip out.
Yep.
Chris doesn't fuck those things up.
That's awesome.
He drives me crazy sometimes because he takes so long because I'm impatient. But the point is that things aren't fucked up. I mean, did you see what Robert did to the car in qualifying
Yeah.
the last race?
And then Chris and Asa got it all back together, man.
And it goes out on the track, and nothing falls off. And
That's bitching.
And he puts the thing on the pole. I don't know how the fuck he did that. I don't think he knows how he put the car on pole. That car was fucked up. In fact, he didn't realize it until after the Challenge Cup, where he came in and said, "Oh my God, that car's fucked up."
But he still did a good job.
I don't know how he did it, but he did it. But my point is that
I think that
I don't have to ask Chris very often, "Are you sure?"
I think that's a really crucial point in any race team, is making sure that the people that are helping with the team have the same passion and have the same understanding of what needs to happen. And we had a very, very good working team with my guys too. Brian Lopez, my dad, everybody that would come in and help. We had checklists that we would go through. Everybody, like if somebody was going to go check the tie rods, they had to sign off on it, and then the next person had to sign off on it. It was never one person that could go over a bull. It was always a double-edged person. And so everything had to be checked twice. Everything had to be gone through. And we never had any mechanicals because those guys were doing such a good job.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was really a big deal. And it was a learning curve for us, kind of like what you guys did your first year. When we had 2017 come around, we had all kinds of issues. We were losing motors. We were losing, all kinds of different stuff was happening.
We had too many of those incidents where we had to fix the car at the track where something would break,
Right.
steering box issues and things like that. And Chris always got it right every single fucking time. But I don't want to count on that next year, so we're building 2 cars.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Have a backup. I wish
we're going to have 2 race-ready cars. If one of them gets balled up, all we have to do is look and say, should we fix that one or roll that one out on the track?
You know what I'm thinking about it now, like Chris and Asa and everybody that's on the team that was on my team too. They deserve more credit than the driver does, because those guys would switch out a motor. They would do all so much crazy stuff, man. And they would get it done no matter what.
Yeah.
So
And all I really do is hand them tools. So you can say, here, I think this is a really good tool. Go play with this.
Do you hand them burritos ever?
No, but
Joanna cooks some mean track food, dude.
doesn't she?
Your wife makes the
Do you
bombest
see
stuff
this?
at the
Do you
track.
think this is an accident? I earned this.
Dude, she made me that sugar-free cheesecake. That stuff is so good.
Yeah.
Well, so we know that you went and won the championship, and you guys were able to come out with
Robert won the championship.
Yeah, well, that's a team effort.
It
Teamwork
is.
makes the dream work.
It is, but that's in the dirt particularly. It's more about the driver than anything else.
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with that. But
I mean, look, this isn't very nice to say, but I don't really care because it's true. The reason Brock is so fast is because Brock's driving the car.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so that's the way it is in the dirt. It doesn't work on asphalt. You don't put a driver in a car and say, well, you're the best driver, so you're going to win the race. It doesn't work.
Right. The car has a lot more to do with it.
Well, yeah, the car's got to be right for the best guys to go the fastest.
Yeah.
And in the dirt, you got to fucking drive.
Yeah.
And this was something Furrier told me from day one. He said, you don't get to fucking play around. You don't get to buy speed in the dirt.
Right.
You got to drive the fucking car. So,
Man, I wish I could race with you guys still.
Well,
would love
come
to.
on out.
I got to see if this eye will fix itself.
Yeah. You can race with one eye. I swear to God, you wouldn't be the only blind motherfucker out there.
I don't want to be the ping pong ball, though. So Ken said he expected to be top 5 year 1. So
I don't know that we. Oh yeah, we were 4th. Yeah. By the way, that camera makes me look really fucking fat. I'm not coming back until you get the slimming camera. All right.
Let's see. How about this one?
Ooh.
Go to that one.
Yes, I want to be on the slim camera.
So, well, now let's go into a little bit about what you guys got going on this year. So you guys have 1 or 2 cars this year?
Hey, hang on just one second. Hey, Ken, would you please chime in and tell them if I can tell everybody what we're going to do for next year? I think it's okay. It's not like it's a big secret. I just want to make sure it's okay.
You don't have to tell us anything specific. You guys are still going to race Lucas Oil, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we're coming out with a car and a spare.
Okay, cool.
And I'll tell you what they are if
And you guys are going to race in the Production 1000 class, or are you guys going to do the Turbo class?
Production 1000, but I'm headed. I want to get into Turbo class quick. So I'm playing with Van Beekam's car as well. I mean, I've put a fair amount of effort into that car, so hopefully he does well too.
Yeah. So and Robert Van Beekam has a Polaris Turbo.
Robert Van Beekam just called me fat, motherfucker. I'm gonna fuck his car up. Wait, you're gonna see the worst handling Razor on the track.
Ken's laughing, so we're not getting any answers out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it will be cool to see you guys at the track, though, and in what I'm understanding is you guys are going to be a little bit more prepared. So
I hope so.
I think that's going to be pretty cool. I know that the car this year wasn't quite up to your standards and up to your liking.
No.
You figured out a lot of stuff, and now you're starting from a different standpoint, and you're going to be able to have more of the stuff that you want. That's going to be cool.
Okay, so I'm going to tell another story. Isn't that why we're here?
Yeah,
okay.
Stories.
I wanted to change manufacturers this year because I simply wanted to do something different.
Right.
And because this whole thing to me is just about the challenge, right? And so I thought it would be really good for me and even for the drive for all of us to say, we're going to come out and do it with a completely different car. And so I looked and I thought the Razor's the car to do it with. And I bought one. And I tore it apart, and I started playing with it. I started modeling it. I built a bunch of parts for it. I spent time playing on the dyno.
And when you say time, we're not talking about 2 hours.
We're not talking about 2 hours, no. You're right. To make a long story short, the heads, particularly the exhaust port on that engine, is such that I don't think I can make the power-to-weight ratio that I need to make. And furthermore, I can't get the top end out of the car that I think I need with the gearing in the car. Even if I can achieve the power to weight ratio that I think I want, it's going to be fully shifted out at some point down the straight, and it's going to have to rev out of its power band, and I think it's going to lose out there. And as much as I wanted to do something different, I had to stop and say, okay, it doesn't make any sense, and I realized I don't want to go out there with one hand tied behind my back. Even though I think that the car's 220 pounds lighter, I think I could make a better handling car. There are neat things about the car. I eventually decided I didn't think that was the best choice. The other thing that I think has potential is the Textron, but the short story is, I looked at it, and I tried to look at it as objectively as possible, because I'm not looking to suck any manufacturer's dick. I just wanted to do what was best for us. And I still think the Yamaha is the best car.
I do too, for short course. I don't know if it's the best car overall, but I think it is for the short course. Yeah,
well, from what I understand, they don't make a great desert car. I don't know, because I don't know shit about desert. But I will tell you that I think right now, I think we have the best chance with the Yamaha.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So we're coming out with the Yamaha.
You got to you got to give Miles Cheek and Chuck Cheek kudos then, because they're making it happen, dude. With that Polaris.
I know.
And one of the things,
he was a pain in my ass, man.
One of the things that you got to go back on is you can never rest on your laurels, because he's such a great driver.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to come out with a completely different car. I just wanted to say, man, I bit off another really big piece, and I'm going for it, and somehow convinced Robert and Ken to follow me. But I set a deadline of January 1st, and it was like January 2nd or 3rd. I sent Ken a text and said, man, it's
not going to happen.
I think I was coming. My dyno, by the way, is over at Van Beekam's shop, because his neighbors are much cooler than mine.
They don't care about the loud stuff.
Yeah, and so I think actually I was driving back home after spending some time on the dyno, and I sent Ken the text, said, man, I don't think I can get there from here.
Yeah.
It was disappointing. I just didn't want to go out there with a handicap.
Well, so first of all, I don't think any side-by-sides are bad these days, but I love the fact that you went through the whole process to understand. So I don't
want to be the Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, yeah, you went in with the question, why, though? And you said, why? But you knew that you didn't have to go get food that day. You stopped.
Yeah, I still want to try something new. Actually, well,
you are going to try something new. You're going to look into the Turbo Class.
Yeah.
You're going to look into some of the desert stuff. I think it's going to be fantastic, man. Then
you know what I really want? I want 2 turbo cars.
Wow. Of different manufacturers?
Well, no. I'd like 2 identical cars,
and
I'd like to put my 2 favorite Roberts in those cars and let them go out there and fucking raise hell.
Battle together.
That'd be awesome. I would love that.
They're going to end up like the dirt bike guys that we just saw, man.
No. They're both. No, not at all. They would treat each other with respect, and they're complete opposites as drivers, which I think could be phenomenal. You got one guy. Look at Van Beekam. We finally got a chance to test, by the way. We went testing once.
Where at?
In our entire career.
Glen Helen.
Yeah. We go out there. We go out with Van Beekam. And so it's hilarious because Van Beekam goes out, and he pulls it out onto the track, and he's foot to the floor immediately.
Wide open. I never understood that.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, man? But that's how he is. It's how he drives. It's part of why he's fast.
Yeah.
Robert Stout goes out there. He's like, let me check this out, you know.
I do the same thing, and I make sure I roll the jumps. Like I need to know. That's what we did in motocross.
You do a sight lap first. No, he's out there in his fucking pool shorts. At least he didn't have flip-flops on. I'm surprised he was wearing a fucking helmet. In fact, that crazy motherfucker went out testing his desert car with no helmet.
Oh,
He's
man.
telling me how fast it is. It's like, holy shit. He's fucking crazy.
Going a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
We got.
By the way, he's my favorite Bible thumper, and I'm his favorite heathen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yep.
The Van Beekums are a good family, man.
Oh yeah, they're great.
So we got somebody asking, who's the biggest underdog of 2020? I'm assuming that means in the UTV and the short
to me,
course
underdog
series.
would mean somebody that nobody expects to win. So the guy who's in last place all the time, right? But the guy everybody needs to watch, and I said this from the very beginning, is Robbie Hornsby.
Yeah, he's a good driver.
Yeah, you need to keep an eye out for that motherfucker.
He's a good driver, man.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, too.
Yeah.
He's busy in his garage working on that car all the time.
Does his wife get mad at him?
And he's got a shock dyno on the way.
Ooh,
yeah.
fun.
I'm just telling you, watch that guy. He's going to be trouble. He's going to be a lot of. In fact, I'm going to be stabbing his fucking tires in the pits, too, because he's going to be in our way pissing me off.
He's just a good dude, though, so if he gives you trouble, you're going to like it.
Yeah, the problem is he listens to Kid Rock.
There we go.
Yeah, the fuck. Anyway, he's the guy.
Well, Van Beekum says he's always praying for you, buddy.
Yep.
Ken Stout said, amen. Good job. All right, well, it's getting a little bit late here. We're going on 2 hours, so let's use this last 10 minutes
Shit, I'm
for
just getting warmed up.
Let's use last 10 minutes for a Q&A here. So I know some of these answers already, but I think the audience will get a kick out of this. And you haven't seen these questions yet. So first one, blonde or brunette?
What the fuck does that have to do with race cars?
Absolutely nothing. It has to do with you. You're the star of the show here,
Brunette,
bud.
definitely brunette.
You're going brunette. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank God. And you already have a fantastic brunette at the house. She made me sugar-free cheesecake.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
She's a good mom.
Is she?
She's the best mom.
Yeah. She seemed like it. And I remember going to your house when we had dinner over there. And you're a good dad. Van Beekum's a good extra kid.
So Van Beekum is one of my kids' favorite people, by the way.
Because he's a kid with Ian.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So
Ian loves him.
I remember going into Ian's room, and Robert Van Beekum
he's
set up
hanging
all
the
that
shit up on the fucking
on the
fan.
ceiling fans, and it was flinging around. And Ian's looking at it going, look how cool, Dad.
Yeah, he's one of his favorites. So Ian has two favorites. One is Van Beekum, and the other is his grandma.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
And that's good that Van Beekum can go over there and visit you guys, too. All right, what's your favorite food?
It's too cliche to say tacos, but it's Mexican food. Some kind
Yeah?
of tacos.
We had somebody say lasagna. That was a pretty good one.
Did you smack them?
I don't know, because I like lasagna,
Yeah, me
too.
too.
So,
Yeah.
like, I kind of got behind it a little bit just because it was different than tacos. But, yeah, fucking A, tacos always going to win for me. iPhone or Android?
Oh, fuck them both, right? I can't tell you how many literally how many Androids and iPhones I've thrown across the wall. And just yesterday,
Because, like, why?
Actually, you know what? I didn't want to talk. I'm just going to get fucked. I'm going to break something in your room if we talk about
You're
phones.
that upset
They all
about it, huh?
piss me off.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck them. I have an iPhone. I hate the fucking thing. So I'm pissed off now. I'm going to get rid of the iPhone. I'm going to go get an Android, and I'm going to hate that fucking thing too. They're like banks.
So there's a phone that I just saw that it's not out yet. I guess it comes out in like 6 months or something. And it was a piece of like McLaren glass that they had.
Yeah.
And the back of the phone has tinted glass or whatever, but it has a camera under the tinted glass.
Right.
So you can't see it. And then you activate the phone or the camera, and all the glass turns clear.
That's cool, but does the fucking thing work? Like, can I make a call without hassle? Can I transfer a file?
I have no idea, but I was thinking in my head, like when you just said that you want to throw the phone across the room,
Yes.
if they can do that, why can't they just make it work good enough for you?
I don't know, but and I've never had herpes, but I can only imagine that it's not as bad as fucking iTunes or the iCloud, right?
That's awesome.
It's like a fucking razor blade salad.
Well,
Okay,
I feel like the answer to this is going to be coffee, but what's your favorite soda?
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino?
Yeah, I drink it all the time.
I'm going orange soda. I like me some orange soda. And you know what's funny?
I don't know.
Both. I've never drank orange soda until I got smashed in the face. And then all of a sudden I love it. It's like being pregnant and you just love pickles.
So if I were to slap you really hard right now, you may all of a sudden like root beer.
I have no idea.
You want to find out?
Literally have no idea. No, because I don't want to dislike tacos.
Suddenly your favorite's going to be French fries.
Oh, my God. That would be so boring. I would have no... I would have no friends after that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and this is actually a loaded question for you. With all of the
last one was a lot.
with all the road course racing and all of the off-road racing that you've had now, what's your most memorable race?
I don't have a most memorable race. I have a
Most memorable track incident or something?
most memorable qualifying session.
Really? What was that?
So Robert goes out in the second practice at the last race at Chandler. Fucking car is hooked up, and he is just flying, and he realizes he's got like 9/10 on the field. And what he relayed to me is he's thinking, fuck, I'm going to put a second and a half on these guys because I'm ready to fucking get after it. Well, he catches both tires in the rut, and the right-hander goes for a tumble, couple rolls, and endo, wads the car up. Comes back in. By the way, when you roll these things, sometimes they just roll, and it's kind of funny, like something from Laughing or Benny Hill, and
that never
just
happened
put the car together. Well, this time, and every once in a while it lands, like one corner hits the ground real hard. And so that's what happened. And I didn't realize how bad it was, but somebody came in on the radio. Oh, it was Tanner, one of Brock's guys, said, is he okay? Because somebody in the stand said it sounded pretty bad.
Yeah.
I see Ken walking this way. He's not flipping out, so I figure everything's fine. But when you look at the in-car, you realize there was a pretty big impact in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So he comes in.
That's on one of the videos that we published, actually, to our YouTube.
Yeah, I think so. And the anti-submarine belt shoved one of his fucking nuts up into his throat and hit his head. And he was, he was feeling like shit.
Cuckoo.
Somehow we get the car back together. I don't know how the fuck it happened, but it happened. Anyway, the point is he goes out there with a completely fucking hammered car and puts a thing on the pole.
And for those people that don't know what happens with a Yamaha YXZ is they're notorious for the chassis bending right behind the lower front control arm. And what happens is that, and especially in short course racing, is every time you're driving the car, like let's just say you go over a speed bump or something, it'll twist the wheel like this and it'll shove the car because it's not rotating it or pushing the dampers down properly.
So right now the wheelbase, that car's done. The wheelbase on the passenger side of the car is 2 inches shorter than the driver's side.
Wow, so it got really hammered.
He put that fucking car on the pole.
So I've seen him.
That's my most memorable moment.
That's insane. I've seen him have half an inch different wheelbase, and the drivers can't even drive them. 2 inches is insane.
Yeah, it was fucked up. And he just, I don't know. In fact,
Good job, Robert.
Can I add to this story?
Yeah.
Do you know Rob Muzzy?
Yeah.
Rob Muzzy's my new pal. I love that old guy. He's got so much experience and so much knowledge. I just follow him
He's
around.
forgotten more than I'll ever know.
Yeah, exactly. So I was up there in the stands with him, and I said, so in your experience, I mean, we're talking about more than 24 championships over the years. That's for people who don't know Rob. He's a legend in the motorcycle world. I said, in your experience, what happens when a rider puts a bike down and they got to get back on it? He said, well, the ones that win the championships or the ones that become champions or are champions or were, I forget how he worded it. He said they normally just get out there and they do their job like it didn't happen. So I got to tell you the rest of this because I love this. I'm up there in the stands and they go out for qualifying. Robert puts it on the pole, and I look at Rob. He just fucking smiled, and that was that.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome, though. And let
me tell you one more. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me tell you one more part of that. There are people who like to have excuses when they're not winning. Mm-hmm. We all do, right? So there was a lot of talk about, it's the car, it's the engine, it's this, it's that, and man, that put all that shit to rest.
Yeah.
Like, here's your fucked up car, it's hammered. And I'm tiptoeing through this right-hander because I don't want to put it on its side again, and fuck you, I put it on the pole. He didn't say that. He doesn't have that kind of attitude. He's far nicer
he already
than I am.
the actions speak louder than words in
right.
that case.
I want to talk shit. He just goes out and does it. So that's the high point for me of everything that I've done in racing.
I take a lot from that, though, and because that has like a really, really sentimental value for me. I was always good at racing. I won't want to say great because I was never a Lucas champion or anything, but I was always good at racing whatever I did because I have the attention span of a gnat. I can forget what happened 5 seconds ago, right? And go on to the next thing. But that is another thing that has to do with the dirt life because that has helped me so much in the adversity that I've faced in my life because I don't remember the bad shit as much as what other people would.
Yeah.
I remember the good things that happened along the recovery process and what I have to look forward to. So I think that's a lot of what Robert had focus on after that. He goes, all right, this is all the bad shit that happened. That's behind me now. They have to fix it, and now I can look forward to doing these things with this situation. So me in my current state, I have a fucked up head, but I can do things still pretty good, and I can look forward to what's going to be better. And that's what he was thinking when he went, I have a fucked up car, and now I have to go and deal with this.
Well, since you have a bad memory, I just want to remind you, don't break your back and don't get run over by cars. In fact, I'll write it down if you want. You can just stick it up here on the wall. Just to remind yourself before you leave every day.
Let's tattoo it to this bad freaking eyeball right here.
Yeah, but the point is, when he wadded that car up, I said, okay, well, we're not going to get the championship this year. And then he went out there and basically
prove
said,
you wrong.
Fuck this, we are getting the championship this year.
God, that is so cool. Yeah, like I did before, congrats to Robert for coming out.
It was a big fucking deal.
But awesome for Chris and Asa to come back and put that thing together. And
yeah.
And you guys as a team to all work together. Like, that's bitching. And thank you for having the taco party afterwards, too. Appreciate that.
We did.
That was pretty cool. All right, favorite flavor of ice cream?
Butter pecan.
Butter pecan?
Yes.
I like me some pralines and cream, too, so that's pretty similar.
Yeah.
M&M's or Skittles?
Oh, M&M's. Fuck Skittles.
I don't know, man. You're the first person that said M&M's. Living in Arizona, what if you have M&M's in your pocket?
Every previous guest has been
wrong.
Yeah.
What if you have M&M's in your pocket in the summertime?
I've done some dumb shit in my life, but I've never put M&M's in my pocket.
That was one of the reasons that we had Skittles on here. Dogs or cats?
I like dogs better, but yeah.
You guys have pets at the house?
Not anymore.
Yeah. You got a little kid, right?
Yeah, I have a pet. His name is Ian. Little fucker.
This question was left over from last time, but burritos or tacos?
Tacos.
What if it was a really shitty taco or a fantastic burrito?
I'll take the burrito.
Yeah. Good.
Those
okay.
adjectives mean something. I can put it together. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was just a mathematical equation for
What's your least favorite meat? Like chicken?
Chicken.
Yeah. Okay, so what if it's a chicken taco or a meat burrito?
I'll have to have a beef burrito.
Yeah, there you go. If you were a character in The Hangover, the movie The Hangover,
Right.
which character would you be?
I don't remember because I was fucking hammered.
You had a hangover the next day? So there's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson.
No, definitely not him.
There's the Japanese guy that's
I've
all
got
over
a
the place.
pretty exceptional left hook, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be a part of that.
If I catch you.
There's Alan, the weird guy.
I just remember laughing my ass off, but I don't remember anything. I'm sorry, I'm too much of a geek.
Who do you want to be, Goose or Maverick?
Goose or Maverick? Oh, that movie was fucking stupid. I don't know.
No,
I know
way.
everybody's mad at me now.
Dude,
yeah.
Okay, we're going to get a whole bunch of hate comments now.
I know. I'm probably never going to
You got to pick one, Goose or Maverick.
Well, Maverick sounds cooler, so I'll take Maverick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And final.
I think I was 17 when that movie came out. I remember watching it with a
They still have that house in Oceanside.
Pretty hot little girl, and I was thinking, this is fucking stupid.
Really?
And I was just wondering if I was going to get to play with her boobs afterwards because she made me sit through that stupid fucking movie.
Oh, great. That's awesome. They still have that house in Oceanside, and
I did get to play with her boobs.
Good job.
By the way.
Yeah, sweet, man.
Yeah, so that's
glad. And the final question, and we asked this to your mechanics too, Chris and Asa. Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
I don't know. Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Well, for Chris, anything with hot sauce on it.
Yep.
For me, I'm allergic to avocados.
So you're going French fries and ketchup?
I'm not saying I don't need to be. I'll take the French fries.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, all of this being said, all the food talk, I'm still on with Joanna's sugar-free cheesecake, man. She did an awesome job. I thank you so much, man. You got anything else that you want to talk to anybody about? Or talk to everybody about?
They're all gone. They're like, fuck, I'm tired of this shit.
Bailed out. We still got a few people in here listening.
Yeah.
And we're going to share this on our social media, obviously. We're going to share it on YouTube. We're going to share it on Facebook. We are going to have it in the archives on audio in iTunes and Google and all those places, Stitcher, SoundCloud. So I appreciate you coming by, dude. Like, I really do. I know you're a busy guy.
Just don't bring me by on movie review night or we're going to piss off everybody.
Unless you bring, like, go back to your 17-year-old days and have hot chicks so you can not pay attention to the Top Gun movie?
Well, I could attract hot chicks when I was 17. It's a bit of a problem now for obvious reasons. So let's go racing instead.
The fact that you have an awesome wife that makes me sugar-free cheesecake is the biggest non-problem in my book.
It's all about the cheesecake and the
Dude, I tell you what, man, that cheesecake was phenomenal. Like, I haven't stopped thinking
That's how you're going to
about it.
end the show, is Joanna's Cheesecake, huh?
Joanna's Cheesecake, thank you very much,
great.
guys. No, I got to end the show with thanking our sponsors. So, like I said before, I really appreciate you coming down, dude. Thank you very much. You did an awesome job tonight. And
all I do is run my mouth. Everybody knows I'm good at that. Blah, 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 blah.
The stuff that you say, like, I think you discount some of the conversations that you have. The things that you teach people and the honesty that you have and the forwardness that you have, it's huge in my book. I love that personality trait. So
good.
It's good. I want to say good luck to you. Good luck to Ken. Good luck to Robert.
Hey, you know what? I don't want good luck.
You just want skill set?
I want earned success.
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so earn success this year, boy.
Yes.
But I do want to say
either earn it or don't.
I want to say good luck to everybody this year. I was talking to Miles Cheek a little bit earlier today. He's excited for the new season.
Kid's cool.
I think Robbie Hornsby's going to do good. He's going to turn some more heads this year. I hope that Van Beekem has some good times this year.
Yes,
and
he will.
There's tons more people that I would just want everybody to do good. And I can't wait to see what happens at the first race, man.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be bitching.
It's going to be us trying to deal with Robbie and Brock and Miles and a few other guys. Here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a few other guys that nobody's expecting are going to be right up there in the mix, too.
That would actually be pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I love that. The more competition, the better. That's what I always used to tell people is I would rather have 40 guys out on the track. You know what the funnest short course race that I was ever in was at Glen Helen. I was in a Polaris RZR, and there was 38 cars in the field.
Oh, nice.
It was nuts. Like you couldn't, like when it got strung out, you were always around a car.
Yeah.
So I broke a belt in the qualifying, so I started in
a belt. See, if you'd been in a YXC, that wouldn't have happened.
They didn't have them yet. So it was 2015. So I broke a belt in qualifying, and I ended up starting somewhere around 30th position. I was 2.5 feet from getting third at the end.
No shit.
Yeah.
You need to get back out there.
I'm just saying, it was the funnest race. Like it brought me back to the
Wait,
motocross
how many
days.
people did you punt? You punted 27 people?
I didn't run into one dude.
Oh, okay.
That's whatever the spotter was doing that night was like the magic, man. Because I could not believe it was fun. It was the funnest short course race I've ever had in my life.
Awesome.
And I didn't even win. I got fourth. So.
Wow.
But yeah, so thank you very much to all our sponsors. Thank you very much for coming down. I do want to say again that Zollinger Racing Products, we are giving away these Pro Series 7075 made in the USA built aluminum radius rods for Polaris, I think it's a XP Turbo. And we're going to give them away on the February 3rd show. So definitely stay tuned for that. We are going to post on social media next week, I think it is, for all the contest information. So join our social media at The Dirt Life Show on Instagram, and you can enter to win these bad boys for your Polaris. These things are super killer. We can't wait to give these bad boys away. Thank you very much to Shock Therapy for being one of our awesome sponsors. Use the code DIRTLIFE to get a discount on all their stuff. And you can even give them a call, like I always say, and get your suspension done. Use the code DIRTLIFE. Tell those guys we sent you. Thank you very much to Zollinger Racing Products. Use the code DIRTLIFE on their website to get all your parts for all your side-by-side stuff. Thank you very much to Solderweld, and thank you very much to Rigid Industries, both very, very good sponsors. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in and for joining us and listening to us just talk shit all night, man.
I have to say this is a lot better than the last time. Remember when I showed up with the hookers and the hash and your girlfriend threw me out?
No, we can't talk about that.
That was a rough night.
That never happened, but I wish it did. Like, maybe we could do it in the future.
Yeah, that'd be a nice gag, wouldn't it?
It would be a pretty fun night, too. And then we would actually know. We wouldn't have to worry about which character we wanted to be in The Hangover. We would know which character we're going to be the next day.
Got it. Yeah.
So thank you very much for everybody for joining in. We don't have a show next Monday because we have a show next Friday. And, well, that's in 5 days from now. And we're going to have it in Temecula, California at the Warfighter Made headquarters. It's going to be super, super cool. Robert has invited us over there to hang out with him and the Warfighters. We're going to have a live show party. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. I'm not going to say what kind. Probably water, sodas, little kid drinks. So please, please, please join us over there. It's going to be super fun. We can't wait to see everybody there. Thank you very much, everyone. We love you. Good night.
You're doing a good job, George. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it, man. I hope everything gets better in the future. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.